Good afternoon from the Right Side Broadcasting Network studios. I'm Matthew Alvarez. You're catching us in the middle of a 24/7 news cycle that is quite busy. As you know, we're only 24 hours away from the debate, and then of course a huge Trump event in Virginia on Friday. But today we have an event in Atlanta that we'll take you to momentarily. But before we get to that, I want to show you this Birch Gold Group info kit. This kit right here is what will be sent to you after you text Trump to 9898. Obviously, a lot of things going on with the U.S. dollar these days with these BRICS nations. So why not have a little bit of information that can give you some financial peace of mind? You've got the gold, the silver, also precious metals. So this kit can be sent to you. All you gotta do is text Trump to 9998. They can also send you a digital version over text. So it's pretty simple to learn more about Birch Gold Group. Once again, it's text Trump to 9998. That's 989898. We'll talk about Birch Gold Group a little bit later as well. But let's take you live right now to Atlanta, Georgia. And as you can see there, that's Rocky's Barbershop. It is hot Atlanta right now. 98 degrees literally there with probably a real feel temp of 102 at least. But it's the South and it's June and here we are. So a huge event there today with a number of great surrogates for the Trump campaign, and Black Voices for Trump will be there. They're actually hosting an event for Black American businesses and a roundtable there inside that barbershop. Now, there are a number of participants that you may have heard of. Congressman Byron Donalds, he's the moderator. He'll be at that event. Dr. Ben Carson, Congressman Wesley Hunt, some local talk show radio hosts, and also some owners of various businesses there in the Atlanta region will be at this event, as President Trump's team is there as well, the campaign staff, for an event to show people, hey, you know what? We're seeing the black vote increase for Donald Trump, but also for all of the vision for the future for this country when it comes to business and the economy. So that event will be starting in about an hour from now, so about 58 minutes from now. But there are a number of things we want to share with you as well here at Right Side Broadcasting Network until we get to that live event. So this is going to be a great back and forth, kind of a casual setting there in Atlanta. Once again, at Rocky's Barbershop right there in downtown Atlanta. You know, a lot of times on social media, and especially with the mainstream media, they've always been trying to pin everyone against each other, whether it's by race or whatever, right? But the thing that you guys have seen at numerous events throughout this country are people of all walks of life, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter, right? It's from the heart. It's who we are as Americans. We're all in this together. And we're seeing people, I mean, when I was in the Bronx a few weeks back, I mean, there's so many people there from all walks of life. It was great to be there as a family under God and there for President Trump and his support for freedom. And I want to show you a couple photos that I've taken over time at some of the rallies.
You
right
have
there.
such a beautiful spirit about you. I love it.
Right
What's
there,
your name?
white people right there. It doesn't matter because it's all about, again,
that's perfect.
President Trump and
it was
freedom.
Meant to come here for a second.
Another photo. This I took.
I can tell you have such
April
a beautiful
4th
spirit about you. I love it. What's your name?
This was the first time President Trump faced any lawfare. That was in
That's
Manhattan.
Perfect.
Right there at Collect Ponds Park. I posted that a while
everyone
ago
that's
on
watching
Truth
right now
Social.
is seeing
But
so much
that.
enthusiasm from all of you. Tell me a little bit about your group and your crew.
You can see it there. This is an American hero, a DJT, supporting him. So, I mean, we're seeing this all over social media. You're seeing this all over streaming, all over television, where there are people that are in support of not only President Trump, but of what he is about. You know, yes, he's a good guy. He's a cool guy, right? But he's also standing for so many things that we believe in, right? The Constitution, freedom, you know, law and order, all of these things. So it's going to be a great event there in Atlanta today. Again, hot Atlanta. It's around 98 to 100 degrees. I was about to actually head there for that, but it's such a small spot that they're going to be meeting in. So we had room for our camera. I believe it's going to be going inside soon for this roundtable discussion. Once again, Black Voices for Trump are hosting a Black American Business Roundtable in Atlanta. Now, schedule of events for the upcoming information through, of course, the 24/7 news cycle. You know, you've got a lot of places to watch what's going on, but where are you going to get a place where you know that we, the people, first, let's do this, God, President Trump, and we, the people, all on the same team, right? That's what this network's founded on. That's what conservative media is all about. And that's the only reason why we're here, actually. Think about it. It's thanks to God, right, for creating us. Thanks to Donald Trump for coining the phrase fake news. There would be no conservative media really as much if it wasn't for him just showing what the left was all about with mainstream media. And so thank Donald Trump for that. And then, of course, we the people. You know, we thank we the people, you guys, all of us together, for what's happening right now, for this this swell of support for freedom in this country, and to have outsider people like President Trump and like Right Side Broadcasting Network and like We the People that are not adopting to some communist system that's out there. So wonderful to be here with you guys. We're in Auburn, Alabama. You see that live shot there in Atlanta, Georgia. Once again, participants today are anyone from Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt, Dr. Ben Carson, and a number of owners as well for businesses. Now, pretty recently, I want to tell you about this announcement, of course, if you missed it. The Trump campaign announced a new coalition, Black Americans for Trump. It boasts endorsements from elected officials, athletes, entertainers, community leaders, and pastors from within the Black community. And believe it or not, there is this huge list of all people and all news agencies. Newsweek actually posted the amount of people that are in support of President Trump. Within that list, we see, as I mentioned, Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt, Tim Scott, Burgess Owens, John James, Mark Robinson, the Lieutenant Governor in North Carolina, Melanie Collette, Otis Anderson, right? O.J. Anderson. There's so many people. Pastor Mark Burns in South Carolina, who we interviewed the other day here on Right Side. There are so many people. There's a huge list of entertainers as well. Kodak Black. There's Darryl Strawberry of the former New York Mets. I mean, a lot of people. How about Don King, you know, the legend of promoting boxing? You know, it's no more of this weak sauce mainstream media narrative that is just so anti the truth and anti the Constitution, anti-strength. You know, the weakness, chaos through weakness is what we're getting right now with the so-called administration that's in the White House. So we know through President Trump, there's peace through strength. There are things that the left is trying to always take down on the right, but at the end of the day, it's common sense and it's based in truth. So a lot of people, even in these cities like Philadelphia, you saw over the weekend with Nikki Stanzione there and Bobby McNeely on the ground interviewing great patriots. It was in Philadelphia that there were people of all walks of life there saying, you know what, I don't buy into the mainstream media narrative. It's false. All right, so let's calm it down a bit. I do want to show you this great interview that Nikki Stanzione did with some people there in Philadelphia. We're going to get to that video very soon. Producers are telling me it's getting ready, but I know that, you know, it was a great interview there in Philadelphia. And speaking of Nikki Stanzione and Vanessa Broussard, they will be live in Virginia this Friday for a great event for President Trump. Of course, he'll be having a speech that day. I believe it is at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Our coverage will start at 9 a.m. Eastern. So this is the place for live coverage and, of course, for truth and for our country, for the United States of America, for the flag and for freedom. So again, we thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network on Truth Social, it's at RSBN. You can also follow me if you'd like. It's at Matthew Alvarez. And a number of great staff with Right Side. If you'd like to look on who Right Side follows, there's a number of staff and a number of contractors that are on there that you can follow to stay connected with us, because that's what we're about here at Right Side. We want to stay connected with you, the people, as we are out there live interviewing people. And as soon as that interview is ready, if you guys can let me know as well for the Philadelphia interview, where Nikki Stanzione interviewed somebody there. But before we get to that, we can talk to you about this DJT quote, that a video that he played earlier on Truth Social. We'll get to that quote here in just a second, but it was quite awesome, talking about the outsider, being an outsider, how great it is to do that. And I will find it right here. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world and make a real and lasting difference. So right there's what President Trump's saying. That was today on Truth Social. I've mentioned it so many times, and I know I'm not the only one saying it. Obviously, President Trump says it, but there's a bunch of us in conservative media. We're all literally, I know there's competition here and there, whatever. I don't care about that. What I care about is us going for the same goal of this country and us joining together for freedom for this nation. And once again, we're just happy that you're here with us. So we'll get that interview in Philadelphia lined up. As soon as they'll let me know, I'll throw to it. But we also, there in Atlanta, ideally we'll be inside that barbershop, and we'll be able to have Byron Donalds there live, Wesley Hunt, Dr. Ben Carson, and we're also working on a number of interviews as well to bring you here live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So just recently you saw that event in Philly. Obviously a great time. So let's go to Nikki Stanzione's interview just a few days ago. All right. We're getting there. Are we good? Hey, it's live TV. It's how it works. But hey, you know, that's what I love about Right Side Broadcasting Network. All you do is this. You have live coverage from the beginning to the end of events, including for President Trump and including events like this in Atlanta, Georgia. Anything that's going on that's newsworthy, we'll bring that to you. I'm now hearing the video is ready. Let's take a live look.
You are a doll. I can tell. You have such a beautiful spirit about you. I love it. What's your name?
Aura.
Aura?
Yes.
That's perfect. It was meant to be. So, okay, so everyone that's watching right now is seeing so much enthusiasm from all of you. Tell me a little bit about your group and your crew.
We travel from New York to support President Trump, the people's president, the only one who can save the United States of America from destruction from within by the radical left and the Democrats that want to destroy this country without realizing that if we lose this country, they have no place to go. Trump 2024, alabío, alabao, alabim, bao, bao. Trump, Trump, bao, bao, bao.
I love it! What a fun, happy group. And do you see how happy they are? Do you see the peace? This is what it's about.
We don't hate anyone. We love everyone. The left hates, but we love. You see, and we have people
here. Everybody here.
Everybody. They want to divide us by skin color, by national origin, by gender, but we all bleed red.
Yep. And we all love everybody. Everybody. And look, we're Asian, black, Jewish, Spanish. We got it all. Where's the racism? Tell me. Where is it?
That is what we want to see. We want to see representation.
First rally.
First rally. Yes.
Yes, Trump. Trump. 2024 Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are colorblind. We are all Americans. They say Trump is racist, which is nonsense, because we know Trump is a common sense president. We all, we are blind. We are colorblind. Don't divide us by color, okay? We all Americans. We love this country. We fight for this country, and Trump is fighting for us. That's why.
Oh, well said. I love hearing this.
And as you can see there will be no censorship here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You can hear the urgency in everyone's voice there. That was in Philadelphia. And you've grown accustomed to, of course, hearing from the American people live, unedited coverage with President Trump's speeches. Also, with the American people. So, you know, that event there was obviously a great one there at Temple University. And that reminds me, I'll bring it up real quick, the arena situation at Temple. So there was the event that happened in 2022 with Barack Obama and Biden, and Fetterman were there in Pennsylvania. And almost half of the arena was closed down with a huge curtain that was there from the top of the arena to the bottom. And it was all empty seats in the back, right? So in the front of that arena was where everybody was crammed in. And some of the left was trying to say, oh, look at these crowds compared to President Trump's crowds. You gotta be kidding me. President Trump's crowd was a huge crowd there at Temple University. It's just funny how they use one, if you remember, right? They use one little photo that shows this little box and just all these people, and that's what they crammed in. The Democrats did this, right? They show you that little box. They took a photo that was that small. If you saw the whole entire thing, there was a huge curtain in the middle of the arena, nobody in the seats behind it. Well, that wasn't the case for President Trump over the weekend. So it's just ridiculous with what they're trying to do. But hey, you know, what else do you expect? They've got really no talking points anymore, so they've got to pick on crowd sizes. Come on, crowd sizes. You look at President Trump versus Biden in the 2020 election race, where there were just a few people for Biden, you know, in those circles versus the huge Trump events. But anyway, I digress. I was speaking with my colleague Vanessa Broussard yesterday on text message, and we were talking about we're going to learn a lot, of course, over the next 3 weeks. I mean, the next 21 days. Think about it. We got the debate tomorrow, Virginia's huge rally for President Trump. Then July 11th is the lawfare situation there. July 15th is the RNC. Who's going to be the nominee for the vice presidential pick for President Trump? You know, there's a lot of news, obviously. We're on the heels of a lot, including today where the DHS fake secretary there, all right, he's DHS secretary, Mayorkas. He's doing an event in Arizona today to talk about the border in Arizona, and he's going to most likely, this is on the heels of a story out of the New York Post, but it's all over the place as well, that DHS has identified over 400 migrants who were brought to the U.S. from Central Asia and other places by an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling network, and the whereabouts of more than 50 of them are unknown, according to this report. So yet another possible distraction. Obviously, that's very serious, but on the right, this has been discussed time and time again for the border to be secured. And now there's, the DHS secretary doing a press conference in Arizona talking about border safety and security, and now there's a possibility of 50 unknown terrorists that are in the country. That's what the report says right here. I mean, this is not just me reporting. Obviously, I'm going to research the facts as much as possible and then look at what's actually happening and report to you. And as the team here works together as well, we report to you what's going on. But today, Mayorkas being there, finally talking about the border, but then again, trying to make you kind of real scared. Oh no, there might be terrorists in the country now. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a report from the New York Post. The DHS has identified more than 400 migrants brought to the U.S. from Central Asia by places by ISIS-affiliated human smuggling network. So, but that's something that could possibly happen too. We have a situation that is just falling by the wayside. It's called our border. It's called law and order, right? It's called the Constitution. I mean, all of these things. We're getting so much weakness and it's producing so much chaos. So this is why, of course, President Trump is doing what he's doing. And this is why today at this campaign roundtable with business leaders in Atlanta, the economy, there's so many things that are going on that we're trying to button up and repair and restore. And that's what today's event will be all about. So once again, this broadcast started just about 20 minutes ago. We'll be going there live in Atlanta at Rocky's Barbershop. We'll have Byron Donalds, Representative Donalds, Representative Wesley Hunt, Dr. Ben Carson will be there. I know that the moderator will be Representative Donald, so we'll hear this live back and forth. That's what's cool about this network. We just bring you this even casual events, whether it's a speech at Mar-a-Lago, whether it's a press conference there, whether it's an event in Philly or the event in Chesapeake, Virginia coming up. We're there for you. And here in Atlanta as well. Once again, I mentioned earlier, obviously really hot there in hot Atlanta today. It's about 100 degrees. So I'm sure those people are waiting to get inside into that air conditioning. And then we'll hear any news that comes out of today's roundtable there in Atlanta. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Black Voices for Trump, they're hosting a Black American business roundtable with some owners in that area. And the support, the polling is off the charts right now in a good way for the Republican candidate, President Trump, because we're seeing it through all the swing states as well. We'll get to those swing states here in a second, but I do want to tell you about the Wellness Company. Great sponsor, great friend of the network here. Ivermectin, Z-Pak, and more, as you see there on the screen. MakeCareGreatAgain.com. This is where you go for all the information you need. The medical information and the information that you're going to fill out will line up with the doctors that are there, so you get the correct medications for you. So it's not like they'll just send you something without going through a few forms, but MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Ivermectin, Z-Pak, and more. Something great to have in the car, in the house, wherever you are, whether at work as well. I mean, you never know when that virus or bacteria or that bug kind of just starts creeping in. Well, you can knock it down with that emergency kit. That's the Wellness Company, MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Swing state polls. All right, so we've got Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, and North Carolina. All of them are in favor of President Trump. Let's be real. Even some of the cities are starting to, you see people that are starting to be like, you know what? I'm going to go red a little bit. I'm done with the blue Democrat way. We've seen what it's done. And it's not hidden anymore. A lot of times that's the propaganda and lies and brainwashing, right? You just don't see what's happening. Well, now the veil or the curtain has been lifted and people are really realizing what's going on, right? That's why you saw with Nikki and Bobby the other day in Philadelphia, people showing up in droves. Guys, in Philadelphia, are you serious? In the Bronx. I mean, that's wild. Places all across the country. So how about Detroit the other day? How about the People's Convention with TPUSA? I mean, usually we're all saying, the suburban and rural areas and all that. No, it's the whole country. The whole country is realizing that we're dealing with a real serious problem. So once again, you're taking that live look as people are starting to enter that barbershop there. If you're wondering why we're live outside of a barbershop, well, today there's a event there, a Trump campaign event with the Black Voices for Trump, who are hosting a Black American Business Roundtable in Atlanta, Georgia. So you could see Rocky's Barbershop in downtown Atlanta. And back to the polls, for the swing states and for Hispanic and Black voters and white voters, whatever, are in favor of Donald Trump. I mean, 2016 to 2020, we know how that went. It went really well for our country, and we see what's happening right now. So this has been a long few years, but we're finally here, 2024, and we're only 132 days away from the United States general election. The entire world will be watching. We'll all be watching. What will happen come November 5th? What will happen, unfortunately, hopefully everything will work out for the whole July 11th lawfare situation. And then July 15th will be the RNC. A lot of talk about the VP possibilities as well out there, but only Donald Trump knows, and maybe a few other people, but he says he's the one that knows, and he will be, he's made his selection, as you've heard from the last event that he was at in Philadelphia when he made his stop there. I think that should be Wesley Hunt. I can tell by the shades that he's sporting there, shaking some hands with people. And, it's going to be a great event today. It's wonderful to see the unedited, real-life TV instead of, I guarantee if you, and don't do it, but if you had to, if you looked at any of the cable networks, maybe you're not going to see any of this stuff. You're not going to see it. They're going to have a camera live. They might for a second, but they're going to dip out of the coverage. And I will say it real quick, and I'll get off this soapbox about it. But the other day when President Trump was speaking in Philadelphia, there were a couple big networks, so-called big networks, that are losing ratings, pulled away from President Trump's speech. I made sure to make a point because I have Sling TV on my phone. That's what I use. I use Sling TV, okay? So I get all the cable outlets and all that. And while I was here and I was watching, Nikki and Bobby McNeely live in Philadelphia, right? I looked on my phone and then President Trump started speaking, and I knew, of course, with Right Side Broadcasting Network, we had his entire speech, right? So I looked down at Sling and I pull up the usual, as they say, suspects, right? Every one of them pulled away. I don't think MSNBC even aired it. I don't think CNN touched it. And then some of the others out there, I'll just say it, Fox News, they pulled away. The president's speech was not in its entirety on Fox. Now, I'm not going to get too much more into this, but for years being with mainstream media, you just see what the truth is, right? So why would you cut away from the speech? Why? Is there something to hide? And the reason why I'm on this, and I'll let go of this here in a second, but the reason why I'm on this is because the founder of this network, Right Side Broadcasting Network, the reason why this even started right here was because the networks were not showing the crowds and showing the speeches. So that's what the founding of this network was. So it's still happening to this day. So obviously we're very friendly with conservative media. We're all on the same team, but here at Right Side, of course, you'll see the people in the lines and the entire speeches. So enough propping up Right Side, but it is just the truth. So back to some of the information I was sharing before. The debate is interesting because tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, President Trump and Biden will be debating. So that's in less than 24 hours. Now, according to Upward News, President Biden is prepping for his Thursday night debate at Camp David. He's using an airline hangar, quote, outfitted with lights and production equipment, along with 16 aides to help. 16 aides to help, a huge airline hangar, a bunch of lights for him to be ready to take on President Trump. Well, we know how that's going to go. President Trump will do a great job like he always does. It's his natural ability to be able to debate. He's been doing it for decades. So it'll be very interesting TV, I get that. And then, of course, we'll go to our Virginia coverage, which starts on Friday. So tomorrow's the debate. Then we've got our Virginia coverage on Friday, starts at 9 a.m. That'll be with Vanessa Broussard and Nikki Stanzione. Before we go to a commercial break, I do want to share with you the 2024 Birch Gold Info Kit. This will be sent to you if you text Trump to 989898. You get more information about gold, silver, precious metals, all the details you need. It's a really nice info kit, actually. So we have this here in the studio. You can get this as well right into your hands. Also, there's a digital info kit where they'll text you. If you text Trump right now to 989898, they'll text you back, and then they'll line up a call with you. And then you can ask them for a hard copy of the info kit, or you can ask them for a digital copy, which will be sent to your phone on text. So this is something that will help the country, because think about it. A lot of these other nations are trying to devalue the US dollar, the BRICS nations, right? So with gold, silver, and precious metals, you have a financial peace of mind with a 401k or IRA backed in gold. So get more information on that right there. You see it, text Trump to 989898. I'm Matthew Alvarez here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're going to be going back out live to Atlanta for more news of the day. We'll be right back.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I'm the host of the Let It Be Heard show here on RSBN channel. I would love for you guys to check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, YouTube. We release episodes every single week regarding culture, Bible, social issues, politics, current events, anything. So if you're into any of that stuff, I highly recommend you check me out. God bless you guys, and stay safe out there.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. You're looking live in Atlanta, Georgia for a roundtable that will start at 1 o'clock Eastern. That's Rocky's Barbershop in Atlanta. We'll get to that in just a minute. During the commercial break, the Trump campaign just made an announcement for tomorrow that President Trump will arrive on Trump Force One in Atlanta tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern, this ahead of the first presidential debate. So not sure if that's going to have a few people there or not, supporters, but this is made public now that the president will be arriving in Atlanta tomorrow at 5:30. I'm not going to share the venue information yet, but the point is, if that's an announcement, that might mean that some people might be able to be there to greet the president through security and Secret Service and that kind of thing. So that's 5:30 tomorrow. That information just down from the campaign. Back to the barbershop there, as you saw earlier, and as I was mentioning, Black Voices for Trump will host a Black American Business Roundtable in Atlanta. So we'll have Wesley Hunt, the representative there, Representative Byron Donalds, and Dr. Ben Carson are the three biggest names. And then who knows who else will show up, you never know. But of course, a secure event there. There's Byron Donalds right there, saying hello to some constituents and friends and others there, just a state away from Florida and Georgia. And we'll bring you this entire thing live as soon as it starts. As you can see, it says 1 o'clock Eastern. So we're looking at less than half an hour from now until we get the live coverage from inside that barbershop, and we're happy to bring it to you here as we cover events throughout the country that happen that are that pertain to freedom, but also to the Trump campaign. So I was going to throw to a photo. I wanted to show you this photo. I think we looked at it at the top of the broadcast, but just in case you missed it, there are a couple photos that I've taken over the past couple years since I've worked in conservative media, which I started in November of 2022, actually September of 2022. One was taken on April 4th, 2023. It was the day that charges were filed with a lawfare situation against President Trump in New York. And I remember seeing these two young ladies there that are patriots, that are supporters of President Trump. And this is what I love about this photo. It's people from all backgrounds. It's people together. The left tries to pin us against each other, but look at that. That's not pinning us against each other. That's being on the same team. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Also, another photo that I saw, I love this shirt, 0% liberal. That was awesome. You know, all of these events that we go to, it's just wonderful to see everyone there together in support of the president. So the reason why obviously I bring those photos up is because of the pinning against each other that's happening left and right. And if you were able to see an interview that I had with Pastor Mark Burns just last week, I was actually this past weekend in Philadelphia. You know, I asked him the same kind of question, and we know that that's coming from, as he was saying, the pits of hell, right? Everything's trying to pin everybody against each other, but at the end of the day, we are one community, one nation under God, right? And so that's something that President Trump says at the end of his speeches as well, that we're one glorious nation. So we're believing for a great outcome, and obviously a lot of hard work's going on with all of the election security, election integrity, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, that's the truth, right? Like, I'm not going to come at you and say, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. Well, we don't, right? That's why when I was talking with Vanessa Broussard, my colleague, yesterday, we were saying, boy, this next 3 weeks, think about it, the next 21 days, what will life be like? What will be going on? Will Biden be really at the DNC in the sense of, will it be him as the Democratic candidate? Or will he be pulled for someone else? Who will be the VP pick for President Trump? What will happen on July 11th in New York with President Trump? We know what we're praying for. We know what we're believing for. We're working hard for. But we also know what's happening. The election, 132 days away. It's wild. So it's going to be a very interesting 24/7 news cycle. As I mentioned earlier, today the DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas in Arizona talking about the border. Great timing, right? Like, this could have been done years ago. And then this is on the heels of a report that I saw out of the New York Post and other news agencies that there are more than 400 migrants that have been brought here by central U.S. Let me get this correct here. The Department of Homeland Security has identified 400 migrants who were brought to the U.S. from Central Asia and other places by an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling network. And the whereabouts, according to this report, of more than 50 of them are unknown. Okay, so you look at a report like that, you think, well, all right, do I take it face value? Is this report leaked by someone? Is this report legit? Right? We have to do that as Americans these days. We can't just believe everything we see or read. We just can't, right? Just being smart. We have to research this. We have to see, is that a true report, or is this something all of a sudden now the DHS secretary is down there at the border saying, well, watch out, this is, see what I'm saying? Just, you got to keep an open mind with it. And I'm telling myself that too. I just happen to have you guys here. Thank you for watching. But this is what we have to do. You know, we can't just let these guys on the left. You know, the New York Post is great, but it's also owned by Rupert Murdoch, and we know what he's about. So anyway, let's thank one of our friends at the Tax Network USA, a great sponsor there. You can see the information on your screen. That number, 800-357-1415. Any back taxes, any filing issues with April 15th, or anything even from filing year 2022 or even in the past, go ahead and reach out to these guys. They'll help you along the process. You'll have a lot of peace of mind with Tax Network USA. So you can settle your back taxes today. You can talk to them. They'll work alongside you and get that all taken care of. So 800-357-1415. You can see there it says tnusa.com/RSBN if you'd like to go there as well for more information. Tax Network USA, one of our great sponsors at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So what I'm told is that our camera crew at Right Side is going into that Rocky's Barbershop. So we'll be going back to that live shot here shortly, but he's going to make access into the Roundtable area, get set up. We'll bring you that live picture as soon as he's set up. And then again, we're going to have Representative Byron Donalds. He's the moderator for today's event. Then we have Representative Wesley Hunt, Dr. Ben Carson, among others, including owners of businesses in Atlanta, to have a business roundtable. This is also a parlay in the sense of a Trump campaign event with Black Voices for Trump. So they're hosting the Black American Business Roundtable there in Atlanta. So this just came out just yesterday. So we had to get to the studio here and bring you these live photos and live pictures to give you the access inside this roundtable so you could hear some of it, but you can get a lot of great information with that newsletter right into your email inbox. It's rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Speaking of slash, let's talk about /donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate if you'd like to help Right Side Broadcasting Network in any way. Donations are great here at the network, as we are not bought and paid for by woke corporations, but we have partnerships with awesome businesses that are America first and our country first in the sense of freedom. So you can see that there, rsbnetwork.com/donate. We were talking earlier about the swing state polls. Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. That was quite the event in Philadelphia the other day. And we know that most of Pennsylvania, if you look at the map, is red. You've got the blue dots. You've got the blue dot of Pittsburgh and State College and Philadelphia. But we're seeing more Trump signs in some of these areas. We're seeing people show up, right, all over that map there. So it's starting to go red more than it did in 2020. Let me reverse that real quick. You know what I mean. 2020, Pennsylvania went to Donald Trump. That's the bottom line. Arizona went to Donald Trump. But for some reason, the reporting from some other news agencies and through the night, we saw some things that were changed. These are facts. I can't shy away from the facts with that. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is Pennsylvania for 2024 is looking, I believe, really, really good. Especially when you see what just happened in Philadelphia. I mean, that was a packed arena there. The left, again, if you didn't hear this from the top of the broadcast, they tried to on X recently say that arena was so packed in 2022 for Barack Obama and Biden and Fetterman. But if you look at what President Trump posted, you look at what ALX on Truth Social, you look at some of these people and what they did. What the left did is we had the curtain go halfway down in the middle of that arena at Temple University for the 2022 event. So the whole back half of the arena was empty. The floor, the lower bowl, the upper bowl was all empty. And then they used a photo recently of a little square of people on top of, at the arena. I'm talking about 2022 here, right? And they act like, oh, look how crowded this was, and President Trump couldn't fill the arena. This wasn't even, did you see the video? Somebody took a video in 2022. Half of the arena was empty. The whole black curtain was from top to bottom. And this is the kind of thing they do. They say, oh, there wasn't a lot of people at President Trump's event at Temple University. You gotta be kidding me. We know what's happening out there. This is an absolute joke in many ways with what's going on, because we know what the truth is with the situation, right? We're resonating with it. And I was in touch with Terrence Williams people just shortly or prior to the show. We were trying to get him on. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get him on this show or not, but Terrence, the conservative comedian, you know, when I say it's an absolute joke, well, he does a great job, you know, making fun of Biden or Kamala Harris and that kind of thing. You know, it's great to have some comedy. That's my point here, and it would be great if Terrence is able to get on here. If the producers can let me know, we will have a live interview with him, or hopefully maybe a recorded interview. We can bring that to you if he is able to join us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to be going back to Atlanta here any minute now. Our camera is getting inside the Rocky's Barbershop in Atlanta. We will have the roundtable discussion. It'll maybe last for an hour. We haven't been told how long it will be, but usually roundtables are about an hour. Maybe it'll go longer or shorter, but we'll have it in its entirety here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you'd like to follow Right Side on Truth Social, please do at RSBN. It's at RSBN. We're at about 670-something thousand people following. That's great, but hopefully we can get that number even higher. And it's just awesome because it's a grassroots organization here. It's a grassroots network, and it's with you, the people, all of us together. And as I mentioned earlier, if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't for Donald Trump, and if it wasn't for we the people, conservative media, it would be a lot more difficult to be doing what we're doing right now. Because, you know, obviously I was saying before, God creates the people, and then you got Donald Trump, who shows, as you take a live look there inside the event, Donald Trump, who showed what fake news is all about. So then you've got the birth of conservative media, and then we the people. So we're all in this together. You can see there Representative Byron Donalds sitting with constituents, actually not constituents in Georgia, obviously he's a congressman in Florida, but you know, there with people that are of like mind that are supporting President Trump. So this is once again a Trump campaign event. Black Voices for Trump are hosting a Black American Business Roundtable in Atlanta. And there's Wesley Hunt there out of Texas. So we're getting ready for that roundtable. I was about to read you a number of well-known celebrities or politicians that are in favor of President Trump for this election. And a number of factors have poured into that, right? How about the lies from the left wing and the Democrats for years for Black America and even for Hispanics and whites, whatever. It's just a lot of lies that have been happening, and people are waking up from all backgrounds, and it's awesome to see that. So some of the people that have thrown their support behind President Trump. Of course, we already know Pastor Mark Burns. It was great to interview Pastor Mark Burns just the other day. Boy, can he really deliver a message and do great things for this country, spiritually speaking. And then also, you know, anything in politics. You know, it'd be great to see him still be able to bounce back and be able to do something great for this nation. Deontay Johnston, he's a founder and president of the Black Conservative Federation. Jalen Johnson, he's a Georgia City Commissioner. These are people that have put their support behind President Trump. Don King, the famed boxing promoter. Bruce Lavelle. There's a number of people I'm seeing here, a long list. Lynn Patton, a senior advisor, of course, to President Trump. Cornyn Rankin, Amber Rose, on and on and on. This list just goes on and on and on. Melissa Tate, an author, speaker, influencer. Scott Turner, a former NFL player and a chair of the Center for Education Opportunity at AFPI. So Herschel Walker, and of course Terrence Williams, as I mentioned earlier. So if Terrence, if you're watching, man, come on and join us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We talked to some of his producers earlier, so we'll see if we can get him on. That'll be quite awesome too. You know, sometimes we need a laugh, right? Actually, I think a lot of times we need a laugh. So Terrence is hilarious. If you remember what he did with the when Kamala Harris was talking about school buses. If you haven't seen that, please do. It's quite awesome. So back to what I was saying earlier as well. I showed you those photos that I've taken over the past few years of patriots in line at different Trump events. And, you know, This started since September 2022, working at Right Side, and then being able to be at a lot of these events and interviewing a number of you out there. And it's great to connect with you. I know that's the same sentiment for Vanessa Broussard and Bobby McNeely and Nikki Stanzione and Jessica Rivera and others. You know, it's just, and then all the people that aren't on camera, right? It doesn't matter. It's like you're on camera, great. You're behind the scenes, great. It's all part of the same network. So the founder, the owners, the management, the producers, the staff, right? You know, all connected with you, the people, bringing you live coverage of events that are happening throughout our country. So this event will start in about 10 minutes from now. Representative Wesley Hunt, Representative Byron Donalds, Dr. Ben Carson. I haven't seen Dr. Ben Carson quite yet, but we will, he's slated to be there according to the Trump campaign press release. And speaking of that press release, there was another one, as I mentioned earlier. President Trump will be landing in Atlanta around 5:30 tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. So that was an announcement just made. It will be interesting to see if anybody's there for the president when he lands there. Of course they will be. What I'm saying is the access to that through secure means. We'll see if that happens. But usually when there's an announcement like that, there might be something like that happening. But regardless, tomorrow, of course, the debate's going to be wild. We'll see how that goes. And then on Friday at 9 a.m., we're going to be going live here at Right Side Broadcasting Network as President Trump will be in Chesapeake, Virginia for an awesome event there. So the Commonwealth of Virginia, he's getting ready for President Trump. We are slated to interview here at Right Side Broadcasting Network someone running for Senate there in Virginia, Hung Chow. He's a former Navy captain. We are also slated to speak with Carolyn Levitt. And if everything works out, we will be airing those interviews on Friday. And then, of course, Nikki Stanzione, Vanessa Broussard, great patriots that are doing awesome things for the country. And also, of course, Vanessa being here for several years. We'll be live there with Nikki Stanzione, who just joined us and is doing an awesome job. And the energy that Nikki brings and Vanessa brings and Bobby and Paul and Gracia, all of them. It's just wonderful to be a part of a team that supports this country and supports freedom and loves our Constitution. So once again, that'll be on Friday for Nikki and Vanessa. I'll be here live in the studio, but just bringing you the live pictures, bringing you the speech, bringing you the people outside of that event in Chesapeake. I do believe it's an outdoor event, so if the heat wave is still kicking up there in the Northeast, we'll just make sure you bring either some sunscreen or an umbrella, your glasses, and a lot of water. This is the 2024 Birch Gold Info Kit. If you want this, all you got to do is text Trump to 989898. You got a lot of great information within this info kit. You can get the hard copy, you can get the digital one. This is the Birch Gold Group, the precious metal IRA specialist right here. I know it's kind of bright with the lights, but you can get this to your mailbox or in your text message inbox. If you text Trump to 989898 and you just want more information on this whole thing called gold, silver, precious metals, and backing that, with the situation with the U.S. dollar, hopefully it goes up, right? But the U.S. dollar sometimes is not doing so hot these days, right? Because you got these BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, just constantly using their local currencies instead. And there's a lot of nations that are adding to that. So having gold as a backup plan for your 401k or your IRA, get some information if you'd like. Text Trump to 989898. You can get it on your phone. They'll text you right back with an automatic reply, but then you'll get a phone call. You can ask for a digital info kit, so that would be sent right to your text, or you can ask for the hard copy, and they'll send you one out. The Birch Gold Group. Text Trump to 989898. Once again, you're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't seen the interview that we played earlier, I do want to play it one more time here for you. Over the weekend in Philadelphia, there was a great interview with a number of patriots there. Speaking of a number of great patriots, you can see them right there on your screen. Is that Dr. Ben Carson? I think so, yes. So I have to wear some context. The screen's a little bit far from where I'm at right now, but there you see Byron Donalds. And so what I was saying was back in Philadelphia, Nikki Stanzione interviewed some people there. Let's take another quick look at that. It's about a 2-minute interview. And then right when we come back, we're going to go to this live roundtable, which starts in about 5 minutes. So let's go to Nikki Stanzione's interview in Philadelphia just over the weekend.
You are a doll. I can tell you have such a beautiful spirit about you. I love it. What's your name?
Aura?
Aura?
Yes.
That's perfect. It was meant to be. So, okay, so everyone that's watching right now is seeing so much enthusiasm from all of you. Tell me a little bit about your group and your crew.
We travel from New York to support President Trump, the people's president, the only one who can save the United States of America from destruction from within by the radical left and the Democrats that want to destroy this country without realizing that if we lose this country, they have no place to go. Trump 2024, alabío, alabao, alabim, bao, bao. Trump, Trump, bao, bao, bao.
I love it! What a fun, happy group. And do you see how happy they are? Do you see the peace? This is what it's about.
We don't hate anyone. We love everyone. The left hates, but we love. You see, and we have people
here. Everybody here.
Everybody. They want to divide us by skin color, by national origin, by gender, but we all bleed red.
Yep. And we all love everybody. Everybody. And look, we're Asian, black, Jewish, Spanish. We got it all. Where's the racism? Tell me. Where is it?
That is what we want to see. We want to see representation.
First rally.
First rally.
Yes, Trump. Trump. 2024 Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are colorblind. We are all Americans. They say Trump is racist, which is nonsense, because we know Trump is a common sense president. We all, we are blind. We are colorblind. Don't divide us by color, okay? We all Americans. We love this country. We fight for this country, and Trump is fighting for us. That's why.
Well said. I love hearing this.
And of course, that from Philadelphia on Saturday with Nikki Stanzione there. And then you see on the other side of your screen a live picture from Atlanta, Georgia, as we get ready to go there live for this business roundtable with a number of great America First folks there, including Mr. Byron Donalds, Wesley Hund, Ben Carson, great patriots there. We'll be taking that live event as soon as it starts. And why don't we take a live listen right now to see if we can capture any kind of audio there going on right now. Okay, we'll be setting that up here any minute from now with the microphone there in Atlanta. But this event is expected to start in just about a couple minutes from now. For the schedule of events, the first Trump-Biden debate, of course, is tomorrow. RNC in Milwaukee is July 15th. That's 19 days away until the RNC. 132 days from the U.S. general election. Obviously, a lot going on there. Before we throw it to Atlanta there, I did look at a quote yesterday from Martin Luther King Jr. I wanted to read that real quick here. All we say to America is, be sure to what you said on paper. Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of the press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for the right. End quote. That quote from Martin Luther King Jr. You know, obviously a person that loves freedom, Martin Luther King Jr. there. So saw that quote yesterday. Thought that would be interesting to bring up today. Also, you know, we're seeing again, if you're just joining us, whether it's in the Bronx, whether it's in Philadelphia, Detroit, whether it's in rural Texas or rural Wisconsin, it doesn't matter. We, the people, are together supporting President Trump and supporting the America First agenda and Agenda 47. That, because we see what's happening with the weakness that's happening right now. Chaos through weakness, as the Trump campaign has said. and then peace through strength with President Trump. So we'll be taking a live listen and look there as soon as that event starts in Atlanta. A number of great people there, including Byron Donalds. There's Ben Carson, I believe, right there in the middle, and then Wesley Hunt as well. So a wonderful day today here in Atlanta. We'll bring you this live as soon as it starts. It's getting ready any minute now. 1 o'clock is the expected start time. Now the polls for the country right now, for the swing states leading for President Trump, it does show, 47 to 45% and that kind of thing. But you look at the boots on the ground, you see the people that are at all of these events, and what you see are supporters in droves, right? And it seems like those numbers for these polls should be a bit higher in the category for President Trump, because you see what's happening through television, through live streaming, through social media. And then on top of that, everybody talking with their neighbors and out on the street or wherever you are, people are talking about this left and right, this whole election coming up. So that reminds me of Shaney Rich. If you know Shaney Rich, he goes out there, a Trump supporter, interviews people from all walks of life everywhere, right? And just here's what their take is on the election. And it's so many people, an overwhelming majority do like President Trump and want President Trump back in office. And I don't want to be repeating just these same talking points to you, but the point is, this is more than just an election. This is the election for our nation. This is the election that we don't want to see what happened in Brazil, where Lula he's not the right guy that's supposed to be there. It's Jair Bolsonaro is the one that the people voted for and the people want in Brazil. We don't want that same kind of situation here. We know what happened in 2020, but the point is 2024 is the big election, as you know. I'm preaching the choir, but we are ready for it. It's less than 135 days now, 132 days until that election. Be interesting to hear what everyone has to say here about the economy and things for business owners. How about no tax on tips for President Trump? That was pretty awesome the other day. I believe it was a $200 or a $500 tip that President Trump left in Philadelphia at that Philly cheesesteak place. That was pretty cool. No tax for tips. I mean, there's so many things that President Trump and his staff are looking at to help this country to get back to what it was, and then to make it even greater, right? So let's throw to it right now in Atlanta.
And throughout the United States. But before we get into any of the conversation, gotta introduce the owner of Rocky's Barbershop, Rocky himself. Rocky, how you doing? Rocky, how you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing right now. Very proud of myself. And the fact that, I never seen this many people in front of me, reporters, and I feel like I'm on the Hall of Fame. So it's a big accomplishment for myself and the black community. One more thing, I've been in business since 2008. I've been through the struggles, the ups and downs, the COVID, but I'm just proud of, just being a black man in the community and able to sustain all the diverse people that come through this door and service everyone, and at the same time just able to provide to the community everything that's we talk about. I'm like a barbershop where we talk about everything from sports to politics to hospitals, injuries, crime, and everybody's welcome. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that's pretty much it. I just service to the community. I like unity.
Yeah.
That's my motto, unity.
Yeah. I like that. So, all right, now, Rocky, I know Rufus over here on the end, he comes in here. So what's Rufus's name when he comes in?
What's Rufus's purpose for coming in? You got no idea.
Because I want to hear this. It came up earlier off camera. I want to hear this, Rocky.
To be honest, I gave Rufus his nickname. I called him Trump. He was the guy that would not stop talking. And he has to be heard. He has to have the last word. And I mean, y'all pretty much know that by now, right? He has to, because he stands tall, so he looks down and be like, okay, You gonna let me talk or you gonna let me finish? So it's like you
gonna finish or you're
right,
done.
Exactly. So he asks you, "Are you done?" And you be like, "Okay, I'm done." So he has to have the last word, and then he gonna walk out.
Rocky, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen a transition from your customers and your employees from being quiet about what their support or lack of support about Trump or dislike of Trump to now? Has it changed? Has it shifted?
Good question.
Politics is not really a main topic, but it has its time where we do talk about it when it's on CNN and, everybody's give their opinion about, what's going on, and it's definitely a buzz. I mean, it's definitely a buzz. It's going up.
I want to ask this, Rufus. So you coming in, Rufus 6'6", so when you walk in, people know.
Right.
270 though.
I was.
Oh, okay.
Quiet, Wesley.
We don't let. He was 270 in high school.
See, we're gonna come back to that later. That's gonna be a later segment.
Shots fired.
He's in preschool. Rufus, you're coming to the shop. What are you communicating? For what's happening in the country? What are you talking about? What are you communicating to people?
We've learned over the years that you can't beat people into submission. The question is, for all the things that folks said about Donald Trump, I ask people if you called the boogeyman before he got in office, what did he do that was so bad when he was there? Then you get crickets. Then we start talking about the First Step Act. Then we start talking about opportunity zones. We walk around with HBCUs. I'm an HBCU graduate, so we start talking about the funding with HBCUs. And about 52 minutes later, when I'm done, I ask the question, y'all tell me 2 or 3 things that the Democrats have done for black people, and it gets quiet in here. That's it. It just stops. It just boom. People don't want to have that conversation. When President Obama was here, though, boy, I call hell in here, though. I mean, he's still on the wall in here. So.
Well, it's interesting because you're told from the time that you're a child, there are 2 things you don't talk about in public, politics and religion. But those are the exact things we need to be talking about these days because there's a change in the air. There's things going on that only come to light when you talk about them.
Yeah.
Evil flourishes best in the dark.
That's right.
Doesn't want the light shined on it.
That's right.
And that's why we have to begin to talk about these things in a very serious way. You talk about the Trump administration before this administration. It was amazing. The opportunity zones, $75 billion of money brought in from the private sector into depressed communities, mostly minority communities, lifted 1 million people out of poverty, provided incredible opportunities, HBCUs. Every time we started talking about HBCUs, President Trump's ears would perk up. And, he established a pipeline so that you don't have to come and beg every year. That's incredible. The justice system, the inequality of the sentencing, all these things, they were dealt with without a lot of fanfare. And I'm just hoping that the black community is noticing this. A lot of people in the black communities and in the liberal community in general say, Carson changed. I haven't changed one bit in the last 20 or 30 years. You read my books from 20 or 30 years ago, they say the same things I'm talking about now. The only thing that changed is that I became a Republican, and we need to get beyond that and really look at what works for people.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback that for a second, too. So both of my parents were at Southern University, both of them. That's where they met. So HBCUs are near and dear to my heart. And my dad would always tell me, Wesley, you have to understand something. I'm 75 years old. He goes, son, I had it difficult. You don't have it difficult. We have come a very long way. And for a gentleman like me, who's sitting here as a United States congressman, whose parents are graduates of HBCUs, and at the time, that's actually all they had. And for us to be sitting right here talking about strong black businesses, talking about black excellence, which is exactly what this represents. That's right. Talking about the next generation and how can we continue to build on this like the young gentleman in the back. You're a veteran. I'm a veteran. We have veterans on this stage as well. This is all about black excellence, and it's not confined to one party.
Right.
It's not confined to the Democrat Party. Black excellence is for everyone. And so whenever I think about my parents that started at HBCUs and what President Trump has done for HBCUs, how he has created that pipeline, I got to tell you, I am so impressed by this, and it cannot be ignored. My parents had 3 kids. All 3 of us went to West Point. All 3 of us served this country. It's the definition of black excellence. So creating a pipeline for opportunities for black people at HBCUs is literally why I'm sitting here today. So that investment in the community from President Trump, and you worked in his administration, sir, God bless you, and thank you so much for what you've done. That is why we have to continue to build on this. President Trump is a harbinger of black excellence. Do not get it twisted. We have seen it. We have lived it. You articulated every point extremely well. And then how do we build on this for 4 more years after November?
I want to add to what Rufus said about the barbershop, and then I want to ask Mark a question.
Right.
One of the things I find interesting, Rufus, because we talk about what Trump did, which is all excellent. I talk about it all the time. One of the things that we don't, that I can never get anyone to answer correctly or at all is, how is it that for 30 to 40 years, literally, this man was looked at as a giant? He was looked at, he was on sitcoms, he was brought on movies, sitcoms, he was brought on, he was looked at, he was, Oprah had him on her show several times as the most interesting person in the world. And then asked him, when are you going to run for when are you going to run for president, Donald? And they all giggled. How does that guy, who's so loved, all of a sudden come down the golden staircase, announce he's running for president, and then everyone who was his friend flipped on a dime to hate him so much?
Unbelievable.
And the question is, if you ever grew up in the hood or anywhere in a black neighborhood, the first question that will be asked of you, well, wait a minute, brother. You liked that guy yesterday. Why do you hate him now? And everyone would question your motives, not the motives of the person that you're hating now, but the motives of the person that just flipped on a dime to hate you. Joe Scarborough, Miko, these are disgusting people. These people went to his house, went to his wedding, was there, invited him to their wedding and their homes. And all of a sudden, he's the worst person in the world. It just boggles my mind why people don't ask that question. Well, why do you hate him so much? Not what he's done. Everything he's done is wonderful. I've loved it. I did much better the 4 years under Trump than I'm doing now under Biden. And my fiance will tell you I'm doing worse now because she's almost about to leave me. But
that sounds like you got something to work on.
I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to. But the point, But the point is that people, you have to ask that question. Is why do these people that liked him for decades hate him so much, and they did it on a dime? It wasn't over a course of time. It wasn't during the course of his administration.
One day.
It was on a day.
One day.
One day he comes out.
It was agendas. It's purely agenda. I mean, when you talk about the diversity of particular black community, you got light skin, black skin, you got Republican, you got Democrat, you got so many levels of diversity that people draw on when they want to guide our community in a direction. And for me, I just see it as, here's a guy, I know hip hop. He was in all kinds of hip hop videos, and we grew up in hip hop era, and Trump in itself was a part of the hip hop era in many cases. And when you look at even our childhood and how we viewed Trump, we viewed him almost at the cartoon with Richie Rich. Yeah. Here's the rich guy. He had all the money and what have you, and so there was this aspiration to affluence, based on young kids coming out the ghetto and involved in hip hop. So. For me, when I saw that and I saw the immediate, cut the legs off of him, anybody that talks to him or anybody that supports that, there's a problem. For me, I just thought to myself, well, this is clearly an agenda. This is clearly a psychological propaganda machine that not only dislike black folks indirectly, but I think it also have an issue with rural white folks. I think that diversity is used based on agendas. It's not necessarily about color, race, political party. I think it's the diversity of agendas.
So I'm going to add to that, because
yes,
what
sir.
it is, in my view, now being on Capitol Hill, served at the state level, worked in business for 17 years, what it's about is control of the levers of power. Mm-hmm. For the Democrats, it's the agenda first, second, or third. The agenda can have devastating impacts. That doesn't matter. You got people in the Biden administration, they said, we're going to just ban gas stoves. So I'm in a hearing when we're talking about it. And I asked the guy from the Biden administration, I go, do you know how many people in America have a gas stove? How many poor black people, white people, Hispanic people in America have a gas stove?
And they don't care.
Do you know that you just can't plug an electric stove into the wall like any normal outlet?
Right.
You got to run a special circuit in order to power that stove because it demands more energy, more power. Have you thought about the cost for people? They don't think about those things.
Yeah.
They don't care to think about those things. What they are caring about is the agenda. We see what's happening in immigration right now. This immigration crisis is man-made by Joe Biden. He did all this on his own. He didn't have to change anything when he came into the White House, but he wanted to because his party wants massive open borders. Well, what does that do? It has massive amount of people in Atlanta, every other city in America, overwhelming services. And then the drug cartels take advantage of that, moving fentanyl into our country at record numbers, killing people in our country, overdosing on fentanyl, who might taking a different pill, but it is laced, and they're dying in the streets. They're about the agenda. And I think that, what we have to be focused on as a people, as a community, is what's going to be best for us.
Right.
And you got two presidents. You got 45, you got 46.
Right.
Just look at it how we would look at anything. Who did a better job? I mean, look, Coach, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to transition a little bit. Coach, you're a leader of young men. I want you to just talk about what you're doing here in Atlanta, and then secondly, what are the values that you're trying to instill into the young men that you're leading every single day?
Oh, outstanding. Well, specifically, I just had a thought on your question, and I think that they turned on him on a dime specifically because he kind of jumped the order of things. And I think at that time, like Jeb Bush was supposed to be the next. He was supposed to be the next one getting coordinated, and of course Hillary Clinton was supposed to. She was supposed to be the one to walk right in. And Trump just basically kind of said, "I'm not going through no school board dog catcher election. I ain't going through none of that. I'm just gonna come in. I'm gonna be the president first before anything else." Which I think that basically is why people turned on us.
Good point.
Good point. To answer your question, sir, I am Coach Boyd, belovedly known as Marine Corps veteran, as was said earlier. I retired from my job early. I am still a young man. I made airplanes at a place up the street called Lockheed Martin. I gave that up in order to do full-time what I do now, which is teach kids STEM programming here on the west side of Atlanta. That includes survival skills, prepping skills, and anything that's basically going to teach that they're going to be able to carry and to fish with and eat with versus asking for a fish. So those are the kind of values I try to instill in them, and from that stems of a deep feeling of personal responsibility that they understand early. I don't have to preach to them, even if I try to keep whatever. I am the co-founder and director of programming of Help and Empower Youth, the nonprofit. So I am here in a non-political capacity, right? But even if I was somebody that instilled my values upon them, they can go outside their door and they can see the crime that is out there that has existed since they've been alive. They can see that no matter who is in the office, right, on their level, that the hood still looks exactly the same, right? So I don't have to try to lean them either way. They can clearly see it, and they can, as y'all talked to the young men earlier, you can clearly see that they made their own decisions about how it is they want to move. They're firmly planted. They're not aloof. You know what I'm saying? So I try to instill in them that they want to be dependent on nobody but themselves. More first. You can't. They live a life of self-sustainability and survival already every day. Some of my kids can't even go into their homes at night until they made a certain amount of money during the day. They can't even go into the house until they pay the caretaker whoever that person may be at that time. You know what I'm saying? So they already are living survival. I feel, as my faith tells me, I feel the Lord has put me in a position to sharpen that edge just a little bit.
Amen.
And show them, a different way. So gun violence is prevalent here, right? I'm a strong believer that we don't take away from the rights of those responsible people in order to alleviate such a problem. You eliminate the problem of poverty, you eliminate the problem of gun violence, and you can do that without taking away my AR-15.
Right. That's not going to happen.
I want to keep mine.
Please.
No, sir. I'm from Texas, sir. When that ain't.
I like my AR and my AK. Let's not forget the AK guys out there. Okay, so yes.
I want to ask Latron a
Yes, sir.
question. You do a lot of work with the black farmers. There's a big
Yes, sir.
issue with black farmers. They're struggling. There have been several court cases. Still, no monies have been brought down. What is your message? We have 2 elected officials here. What is your message to Trump and these, about the plight of the black farmer?
Yeah. So, first of all, we all know we all have this ugly history of our past where the transatlantic slave experience caused this huge issue, and from that, that progress has been trying to till and really produce what God gave us all for free. It's out of the land, right? And so one of the things that I've seen, particularly with black farmers, and some of the barriers. So let me address those first real quick. Some of the barriers. The barrier is one, logistics. Logistics support, being able to get product from their farms into major metropolitan areas for distribution. Okay. So addressing that that's a huge piece. I personally don't see, giving someone a check, which is capital is needed, but giving someone a check is a solution. We have to be able to see production become a part of our economic system. And so that logistics system is one part of it, which I think could solve a lot of problems. In addition to that, in every major city across the country, you have these large swaths of they call it blighted, all this language that kind of shoots down, food deserts, and I don't really want to call it that, but they have these areas where access is a challenge. Right. But every one of those areas have large warehouses that are abandoned. And so what I'm thinking is a way to put a direct program together for black farmers is to institute a program that bring cold storage specifically to these areas where the market just simply left them alone. People are still eating, people are still operating as restaurants, but those areas don't have the supply chain or really the food security program to make it work.
Real quick, and
yes,
I want to stop your train of thought. Talk
yes,
to me a little bit about, because you mentioned it at first, logistical issues and of course like capital.
Yeah.
But talk to me, open up, expound on logistics. Tell me really day to day. I want to hear that.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to mention some of the program that they did over at HUD and some of your great work, Dr. Carson. But before I go there, I want to answer your question. Those logistics mechanisms, what they look like, one, refrigerated box trucks, okay, to maintain the integrity of the food in the supply chain. Right. Okay, so a truck going to the farm, working with the packing houses, where they can get market value. Right now they get farm value because brokers show up and brokers, they try to talk them down and get a farm number.
Because they're taking it straight off the land.
You're taking it straight off the land, right? So if the farmer, though, had the capacity to work with an aggregator like us, and that's what one of the work that we've sort of built through in that trajectory is working as an aggregator for farmers to distribute their product to the major chains like the Krogers, the Publix, the local mom and pop grocery stores, the local restaurants. So that logistics chain needs support. That's significant support.
Does that support look like regulation, lack of regulation, less regulation?
Good question. Good question. Yeah. So the regulation is a challenge, and it's always been a challenge. In fact, the goalpost moves from here to there, and then there's a group of guys primarily guys. For the women that are involved, it's no disrespect, I love you too. But those guys simply, they manage their network and they have their interest involved. So when you talk about this issue with black farmers, you're really talking about a group of wealthy people who are managing and stewarding that wealth. And they really have it in their interest. Here's a piece, Shelley, that in Congressman, to your question. So that logistic support from the farm, aggregation, moving it to the city. So now you're in a city that have a need. And there's a population that can buy, that are currently buying. Supporting that would create so many entrepreneurs because you're going to people who are going to make jams and jellies and peanut butters. You know, one of the things that I really appreciated that Donald Trump did during the COVID was the food to family box. Because in that program, you actually had black farmers and other farmers across the board who got a huge boost where companies could buy their product and they can give it away. Right. Even though that's not a sustainable model, right, the boost in itself to create the logistics supply chain without the regulation, because that was the key, Shelley, to your point. Mm-hmm. That ability to do the food to family box program probably changed lives that we would never even be able to count. It was really impactful. In fact, we were involved in part of the last mile here in Atlanta. We distribute at the World Congress Center. We partner with the World Congress Center here. It's our large convention center here in Atlanta. And every weekend we did 8,000 plus boxes to families who actually needed it. And that type of impact, I got to witness it from hand to delivery. I got to witness the people who got to employ in the assembly line to boxing the food up. I got to witness the farmers who got to get their carrots and their bell peppers and cabbage into the boxes. So to answer your question, now, that's a great question. And I don't necessarily believe it's just, I don't like the narrative black farmer. Let me say it that way. And the reason I don't like that, because when you put that on there, there's a stigma of diversity even in that. And that diversity causes someone on the other side to say, I don't like that program. Right. But if we talk about a farmer who's getting a fair shake and getting a real opportunity, that's human. That's a human issue. Right. One last point, if you don't mind. When you think of Pharaoh, you know, Pharaoh never gave Moses a chariot and money to go to freedom. It was only the creator. It was only God. God gave him land. God gave Moses and his people land, and they produced in that land, and they were able to provide an economy or the environment accounting, the household accounting. So the accounting of their environment to be able to do for themselves. And so I believe if we could find ways to create that vibration, even the conversations about, payouts and this type of stuff, it'll shift because that equity be earned. The equity comes from that production, that distribution. Right. So,
Representative Donald and Representative Hunt, I want to go from there to you guys.
The only thing, and I'll be quick on it.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. And the only thing I'll say quickly on that is, the logistical piece is massive.
Yes, sir.
And I would say it's not just farming. It's really through most production in the United States. We have major logistical issues. The Biden administration did their massive inflation reduction and then the infrastructure bill. That stuff is not helping clear up distribution channels in the United States. They're trying to move towards these electric trucks, which quite frankly do not work. What's happening in California mandated it.
Yeah.
So most of our trade comes in through the LA ports.
Right.
California says you got to have electric trucks. There's not enough electric trucks on the road. They're massively expensive. The massively expensive truck drives up the cost of everything that comes through that port, whether it's food, whether it's clippers in the barbershop, no matter what it is, those costs are going up. So a lot of your trucking companies, they use the electric truck to drive to the border of California and Nevada or California and Arizona, and then they switch it to a gasoline truck, and they move that truck to the United States. I mean, this is like stupid stuff. So some of the stuff logistically you're talking about, when you cut and reform a lot of these regulations for where the economy is today and where it's going, you can actually loosen those supply chains up to do what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, when President Trump was in the last time, his motto was, before you add one regulation, we're cutting two. Right. And I think you have to do that in order to clear up the jam that's in a lot of economy supply chains, especially in farming, and then do some other really important things like you're talking about, local networks, local distribution centers, where you can have that infrastructure kind of built in. That's real infrastructure work.
That's
real infrastructure.
You know, I just want to just touch on, because what you're talking about, you know, for the United States, for America, to continue the trajectory of economic supremacy in the world, it's required that we begin to reinvest in those communities with infrastructure and logistics, particularly right here on the south side of Atlanta, or in Chicago, or in St. Louis, or in Cleveland. You know, these areas that got these brown brick buildings that are just blighted. In Baltimore, you look at these buildings and you look at this population. The number one challenge is that those businesses pulled out of there, and when those businesses pulled out, the infrastructure for logistics moved out as well. So that impacted the education, that impacted the health community, that impacted the whole frame of the business community that supports those things. And so in the case, and I don't know how we can do this from this point forward, but I do want this discussion to be fruitful for the future of what we're doing. And so I want to continue this conversation about this logistics piece and how we can impact those communities.
Speaking of which, when you talk about regulations, one of the things that I hear all the time from my left-leaning friends, deregulation is bad, but then you have Rocky Barbershop, who you have to have a certain size sign when you opened up, right? Fulton County mandates that your sign be not a certain. These are all regulations. What can Congress do, or going forward when President Trump gets elected, what can we do to lessen regulations for small business owners? We're not talking about the water, clean air. We're talking about small businesses.
Wesley, talk on that one for
No,
us.
I was just going to punt that to Dr. Carson.
Actually, hold on one
He
second,
worked in
guys.
administration.
Hello. Hey,
Mr. President Trump.
Mr. President, how you doing? Well, I'm going to put you on speaker, but actually a great question just came up. We're talking about regulations and some of the things that can be done to alleviate the regulation burdens on a lot of businesses. But I'm going to put you on speakerphone for everybody to hear. Hold on a second. All right, everybody, you're on with the president.
Hello, Mr.
Hey,
President.
Mr. President.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you. I hope I'm being well represented. I have a feeling I am. I know them very well. So I hope so.
No, you are, sir. But a question came up about regulations. And so what's your view of what we need to do with regulations when you come back into office?
Well, as you know, I cut taxes and regulations more than any other president. We had the biggest tax cut, bigger even than the Reagan tax cuts. And I also cut regulations far more than any other president. And they have put a lot of them back already. We will get them cut so fast. And, you know, it's very interesting when I went to business leaders and said, which was more important, these big tax cuts or these big regulation cuts? Almost every one of them said regulation cuts. Yeah. And it made a big difference to their businesses, small businesses and big businesses. Great question.
Awesome. Anybody else got a question for the president? I mean, he's on the line now.
I want to tell him that black folk will vote for him if he get gas under $1.
All right, so Mr. President, the statement, I'm not going to call it a question, the statement is black folks are voting for you if you get gas under $1.
Oh, well, I tell you, I got it pretty close. We had it for a little while. You know, we talk about $1.87, and now it's on its way up. As you see what's going on. I'm seeing $4. I'm seeing $4.50, depending on where you buy. But we actually had it to $1.87, and we had it to $1.52 at one point. Wow. You know, different points. But we had the gasoline as low as it's been in a long time. So I don't know if I can guarantee $1, but we're going to get it as low as we can. And that's a big spur for the economy. The lower you get it, that's a big spur for the economy.
Hey, Mr. President, it's Wesley Hunt here. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Wesley.
I got a question for you. You've been talking a lot about no tax on tips. If you could kind of talk about that and what impact that would have, not just on the black community, but on everyone. I think it's a winner for all of us, and it's your idea. So if you could kind of talk about that, that'd be great, sir.
So about a month ago, I was at my building in Las Vegas having dinner with some big people, business people that were, planning some big developments and things. And the waitress came over and said, how you doing? And she said, oh, the government is after me all the time for my tax on tips. I said, really? They do that? He said, yeah, Biden just made the regulations much tougher. And it's very tough nowadays, tax on tips. And I said, how would you like to be no tax on tips? Because first of all, it's very hard, it's a very hard thing to control from the government standpoint. But the people are very unhappy about what's happening, especially the new regulations. And anyway, I just came up with the concept of no tax on tips. Let the people earn what they earn. And I'll tell you, it has been so popular beyond anything. I've never seen anything like it. So we have no tax on tips. Vote for Trump, no tax on tips.
Hey, Mr. President, we have Ben Carson's here with us.
Hey, Mr. President, how you doing?
Hi, Ben. I'm good, Ben.
What you said about the regulations is so important. At HUD, we were able to get rid of over 2,000 regulations.
Right.
And it made it so much easier to get things done in general. But I just want to encourage you to continue to speak out because the attacks on you have been absolutely ridiculous. We're praying that God will give you the strength to bear it because you're standing in there for all of us.
Rep. Donald?
Well, the attacks have been unbelievable. What they say, and they'll take a speech where I'll be out rallying, a perfect speech for an hour and a half, 2 hours. We have big crowds. We had over 100,000 people, 107 to be exact, in Wildwood, New Jersey. We had 25,000 in the South Bronx. We have 88,000 in South Carolina. We have tremendous crowds, and you'll make a perfect speech. And this lowlife Biden will take the speech, him and his people, and they'll cut sentences out, cut words out, cut sentences out. Oh, Trump, look, he didn't make a good speech. And I do them largely without teleprompter. I don't need a teleprompter. He can't read a teleprompter. But these people are nasty. They're really horrible people. They really are. It's a shame. I've campaigned a lot over years, not even, for myself, but in particular, I've campaigned against some pretty bad people for others. But there's never been anything like this. They make up things. Suckers and losers, which was never said. They know it. They make it up. They literally make it up. You saw it with the 51 intelligence agents where they said that they got this done, where they said that the Hunter laptop from hell was all Russia disinformation. Yeah. And, it's just a total made-up thing. These people, so you're right about that, Ben, when you say it. It really is a shame. But the people understand it. We're leading in every poll. And we're leading every swing state. And one just came out, I guess, Nate Silver, the New York Times, that we have close to a 66% chance of winning, which is a pretty good chance, I guess, when you think about it, right?
And Mr. President, you got time for 2 more questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, Shelley Winter, how are you, sir?
How are you? Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask you, the debate is tomorrow. Do you think that you will get, what many of my listeners are asking me, do you think that you will get a fair shot from Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? Do you think you'll get
Tapper.
Fake Tapper? Right? Fake Tapper. Do you think you?
It was cutting
and
out.
Don
Can you just
Bash.
repeat that question, please?
What do you
Do you
think
think
you'll
you're
get?
going to get a fair shot from Jake Tapper and Dana Bash tomorrow night?
Well, I think it would be good for them if they did it. I think probably not. It's very interesting. During the primary, CNN covered me, very, very tough, but they covered me all the time. And I won it very quickly. I won it in record time. And Byron knows that, and Ben knows that. They were all there, and Wesley was there. Wesley, good job on television this morning, by the way.
Oh, thank you, sir.
But they were all there. We won it in record. So now I'm making my speech to, accept everything and to acknowledge the victories and all. And CNN started off, and then they ended. Jake Tapper said, "All right, that's enough. We're not going to listen to him." So they cover the whole primary, but they don't cover my victory speech. So am I going to get a fair? Probably not. But It would be very good for CNN. They're having a lot of ratings problems. I think it would be very good for CNN, actually, in terms of its credibility. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, last question, Mr. President. Coach?
Yes, Mr. President, how are we doing today, sir?
Hi, Coach.
All right, my question is, in the black community, it's been made a big deal about how you have been kind of railroaded here as far as your court cases go and everything.
Yeah.
And the support that you'll receive from the black community is kind of like a sympathetic kind of support, because it's understood that we've received similar, not even similar, but basically we've been railroaded since the day we came here. We felt that way, right? So if you can acknowledge that you're getting support from black people because of this, then we can kind of acknowledge that we have been getting railroaded. So my question is, what can you do about those Alvin Braggs on your side that have been doing such railroading from the time? What can we do about those Fonnie Willises and Alvin Braggs that are right now sending some poor black person to jail for some crime that they're doing?
Well, it's an amazing thing when this happened.
Wow.
And as you saw, all the legal scholars say these are not cases. These are not cases should be brought. It's just a terrible thing. It's weaponization. And it comes out of the White House, even when it's city and state, comes out of the White House in order to attack a political opponent. But since that happened, the black support, I think my representatives will tell you this, the black support has gone through the roof.
Yes, it has.
And I guess they equate it to problems that they've had. But since this has happened, like the mugshot is the best. It just beat Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra by a lot, by the way. Beat him by a lot. But that's the number one mugshot of all time. It's really an amazing thing. Since it happened, the support among the black community and the Hispanic community has skyrocketed. It's been amazing. Really been amazing. It's been actually very nice to see.
Mr. President,
it's in one way you say, gee, isn't that too bad? But the truth is, it's really a lovely thing when I see that. We have great support now in the black community and in the Hispanic community.
That's true.
Great support.
I'll say before you leave, Mr. President, I'm a veteran, and we have several veterans here on the panel today. And of the group of people that I say support you the most, the black veterans tend to be with you. So we're with you, sir. If you want to talk a little bit about what you've done with the veterans.
Well, I just want to thank everybody. It was, in fact, if we did it tomorrow, I'd be there. I'd be there despite tomorrow evening. It's going to be big, and they say maybe the biggest. Somebody said this will be the highest rated show of all time. I said, don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. Hey, I'm not interested in listening to that. I actually said that to Byron. I'm not interested in hearing that. But I just want to thank everybody for being there. You have my support. We did a tremendous amount. I wrote it down just a little while ago, knowing I was going to make this call. Achieved the lowest African-American unemployment rate, the lowest ever. We delivered the largest small business tax cuts ever. We lifted 6.6 million people out of the poverty, which is a record. Black Americans saw their largest increase in home ownership ever. We gave record funding for historically black colleges and universities. I actually got them taken care of. They were really in bad shape. And we passed it, and we did that. We passed historic criminal justice reform, which nobody else could get. And when I left office, we had almost no inflation, virtually no inflation, which is a killer in the black community and every other community, frankly. And it's just a killer. We had absolutely the best, most beautiful. We had very little inflation, and now the inflation is a disaster. It's killing the black community, and it's killing the country. Inflation. It's known as a country buster. So we did all those things, and nobody else came close. And we'll do them again, and we'll do them even better.
All right, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you all. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Hope I see you all tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Bye, everybody.
I tell you, when we get a chance to, I'd love to have you ask them a question about and really dive into the impact of access to capital that was post-responded to COVID-19. And I wanted to ask him, and you all get the opportunity to ask him, what type of programs would he put in place to have access to capital in this society that we have? And
So
that
I'm
was a
glad that
major
you
thing.
asked.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
you
sir.
just stepped into my wheelhouse, right?
I'm happy to hear it.
I'm glad you
Let's talk about it. We at the barbershop.
So listen, I sit on financial services. I worked in banking.
Okay.
There's a couple major issues. The first issue is overall federal regulation.
Yeah.
If you go back even before COVID, go back to the Great Recession, as we like to call it now, back in 08 and 09, when Obama and that Congress, both House and Senate, they passed through what they called Dodd-Frank. It was supposed to fix the economy and protect America from the big banks.
Right.
But the problem is what that's done is made the big banks bigger. So the big banks are massively bigger now. Community banking has been destroyed in the United States. So you want to talk about access to capital, whether it's you, Latron, whether it's Rocky, anybody else trying to get access to a small business loan, it is so much more difficult today than it was in 2008.
Sure.
And it's gotten,
It is.
Rocky, am I
It is.
speaking facts now?
Facts.
All right, there we go. So that's for y'all. Rocky knows what I'm talking about. Now, so you have to undo a lot of the damage done by Dodd-Frank because you have to open up. It's like logistics in food. You have to open up the lines of capital. You can't clog them down with regulation. You got to open that stuff up so business can do that. When President Trump in his last term, he signed legislation amending some of Dodd-Frank to loosen up those lines. Second thing's happening now, the Federal Reserve under Joe Biden, they're talking about raising bank capital even more. But if you talk to the banks, they'll tell you the issue is not bank capital. The issue is when you run an economy like this, when you overspend and create massive inflation like this, it makes the cost of borrowing so much more expensive for banks.
Right.
It makes deposits more expensive. And so they're trying to find a way to make money on their side too. And so the cost of lending goes up for small business owners like Rocky, small business owners like yourself. So you got to get government spending under control. You can't just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing because it's only going to get more expensive for small business owners, for families trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet, whether they go to the store to buy product or they're going to the bank to get a loan for a business, for a mortgage, for a car, whatever the case might be. You got to take care of those two major things. I'm not going to speak for President Trump, but I'm going to tell you, if I have my way, we're going to do those two big things.
Okay.
I think on the spending front, President Trump's definitely going to make sure that we get this thing under control because
And
you got to
growth.
get the inflation out.
And growth.
You got to squeeze that out. And the third piece, and Wesley
growth.
just said it, and I'll let Wesley talk on it more. You got to grow the economy. That's energy production, etc.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go back to something that Latron was talking about, the divisiveness. This goes all the way back hundreds of years. In places like Mississippi and Alabama, there were more slaves than there were slave owners. They were very concerned about that. So they told the ones in the house that you're better than the ones in the yard. The ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field, to keep that divisiveness there. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the medium-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. Fast forward to today, conservatives versus liberals. Fight them, don't get together, don't coalesce your power, even though 90% of stuff you agree on, but they have you take that 10% and try to bang it out and keep you divided. We have to be smart enough to recognize that that's not the solution. We need to learn how to converse with each other. Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't make them your enemy. Right. And we have to get over that quickly.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
As you talk about the regulations and the banking and everything, as we go into this election, what is the voters' decision? When small business owners, what is their decision? Is it Trump versus Biden is the decision, but who is going to be better for them? If you can explain who is going to be better for them if they're a small business owner, even someone launching a small business.
Well, you talked about regulation and not moving the goalposts and knowing what to expect, no matter what the regulation might be, just knowing what to expect. Byron, you talked about illegal immigration. You talked about fentanyl. You talked about 11 million people pouring into this country illegally that we know of. Sir, you talked about safety. You talked about keeping your AR-15. You talked about what's happening in the streets here in Atlanta. You're asking me about who we should pick, one or the other. President Trump is running on everything that we just said.
100%.
That is the crux and the very premise of what he is running on and what he is focused on. He will give a 2.5-hour speech, but at the end of the day, he is hitting on these things in multiple ways from multiple angles. If you look at this on its face, Joe Biden is doing none of the above. I would even argue he is running against the things that we are talking about here right now. And so this is really a binary choice that President Trump is articulating every single day, while Joe Biden right now is hunkered for a week trying to figure out how he's going to speak tonight or tomorrow night. So it's up to us in this room to articulate that in a way. This is a binary choice. The things that we want, the things that we are talking about, President Trump just called in right now on the phone and talked to us about it. Who does that?
Hey.
That's the most famous person on planet Earth.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's funny. So many different dynamics.
Hold on.
Yes,
I got
sir.
a quick question. Quick back to Wesley. Would Joe Biden just get an impromptu call?
Come on. No.
Because I know leaders of Congress who can't get an impromptu call with him for 10 minutes.
No.
They can't get an impromptu. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's big. Just access to the decision maker makes a big difference in business. So what you're talking about, this is our language. Having access to the decision maker and he can call in, this has been great. And I appreciate you being able to pull that off. You know, that's a nice little trick you did. But no, more importantly, but more importantly, here's something I think is really important. Something Dr. Carson just touched on and everybody, but that divisiveness, you know, when we leave this, there's going to be a whole lot of conversation. Here these black guys come and talk about Trump and this, that, and the other. Here in Atlanta, we're in a black Mecca, right? So not only is it a black Mecca, this is Wakanda. In the black community, we call this Wakanda. This is black business, this is black educators, this is black doctors, this is black excellence. When we leave this place, they're going to have conversations.
A lot.
One of the biggest conversations that may come out of this is how can you guys support him when he has a dog whistle for a group on the other side? And for me, I want to address that because I think that's a really important part. You have rural Georgia. You have the antebellum South. You have people who grew up in a society in their culture. I'm not going to go to China and dictate a Chinese culture. I'm coming to Atlanta saying, here's what's good for my city and my neighborhood. These are the things that are good for us. And we're speaking the language that we're in Wakanda. And so if Donald Trump happened to be elected and we are in that position as the leaders of our society, why wouldn't we try to find ways to bridge a gap? And why wouldn't we want to be a part of the solution? The other piece of this that I think is really critical, when you talk about economy, right? Economy is it's a scary word for poor people, and it's a big scary word for rich people, right? On both ends. Because the economy language talks about money, ability to move, access. I hear how you responded as it relates to the access to capital with the small banks and opening those channels up and deregulation. Oh, that's critical, right? But at the same time, if I got a small business, I know a good friend of mine named Zach. He owns a place called Local Green Atlanta here in Atlanta. And one of the challenges that I deal with, even under this administration, is access to capital. He wants to open up local green restaurants all across the country. Right? Killer Mike and two other brothers, T.I., they got a business here. And their businesses, from real estate to restaurants, they're trying to get access to capital as well. The question that really got to be answered, will the Trump administration, when we raise that flag and we got a new president in the White House, will he make it easy for access to capital? And that's the question we got to answer leaving this room, because that's the only combative narrative we get against the guys who got a dog whistle for white supremacy and that type of thing.
Well, wouldn't be Tim Scott's?
He did it before, he'll do it again.
Yeah, right.
It makes sense.
Point at what he actually did. You don't have to like him to vote for him. There's a joke about chickens for KFC.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to be for people who are for you. If you're a barber and you get tips, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you want to pay Oh, would you want to pay taxes on tips or not?
No, sir.
So I'm not saying all the barbers would vote, but I don't see why any barbers would be against that policy.
Right.
Also, for the
None.
media and for anyone listening, it's a substantive conversation that we're having. I don't know how often it's known, but this is the conversation we have in the barbershop.
Absolutely.
Right.
Would y'all brothers,
Right.
y'all agree, right?
A little bit more cursing.
A little bit more cursing.
Right.
Right.
It's no profanity on
Not in this one, though.
No profanity in Rocky. No cursing in Rocky. But a little more cursing.
Keep it clean. Keep it
But
clean.
where I was going was the policy side of it. If you can take the fat off of it, cut it off and look at what Donald Trump did and what he is saying he's going to do again going forward. He did it before, he can do it again. And I'll close with I say this to black folks all the time, particularly in the barbershop. I say, once again, tell me the 3 or 4 things that Joe Biden has done to help black people. Because all of us can tell you about the things that he did to help black people when Donald Trump was there over the 4 years.
Right.
They say vote, vote, vote. They say democracy. Vote, 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 vote. They get black people to vote. Okay, so black people vote, and then what?
Right.
What do we get?
Right.
Cricket.
Right. Now, I do appreciate Ice Cube when he was saying, hey, we need to contract black America to get our vote. That made sense, right? And I was glad that Trump was willing to meet with them.
He met with them.
And, yeah,
He met with them.
And looking for solutions.
Biden didn't even meet with them, by the way.
But here's the
That's
thing
right.
that's more interesting than that, Latron, is that he was crucified, meaning Ice Cube,
Yeah.
for even having the conversation. Steve Harvey, many people don't remember, when Donald Trump won,
when he visited him.
Yeah, in 2016 he won, Kanye visited him right out of having mental issues. When Kanye came out of that meeting, they asked Kanye, what'd you talk about? Kanye didn't answer. Trump answered for him and said, we just talked about life. This is a man standing with one of the most prominent African-American artists at our time. Many people in hip-hop like myself or hip-hop fans call him a genius. Still do.
Right.
Regardless of his political stuff. But even though he's a musical genius, he said, we just talked about life. And Kanye got trashed for that. Steve Harvey met with him, and all these professors said, well, why does he meet with the professors or the pundits? We're smarter. Steve Harvey's just a comedian. Steve Harvey literally almost had his career crashed from having a meeting with a man.
Right.
And so at some point, what I say to the African-American community or anybody that will argue with me, and this happens all the time, is that at some point you got to ask yourself, how do you hate this man so much? The man hadn't even put his hand on the Bible yet.
Right.
And they were going after him. He hadn't even put his hand on the Bible. All he did was win an election. And Steve Harvey, who is loved now because he had to dispense with any kind of good words he had for Trump because he got destroyed, almost lost everything, his syndicated show, TV, everything. That he had worked hard, lived in a car, that he tells the story, lived in a car for years to get there. So how do you have to ask us, you have to ask anybody, white, black, I don't care who they are, but particularly African Americans, how is it that you would let other people, and you know what I mean by other people, I'm talking to them, I'm a part of them, other people tell you that this guy is so bad that you can't even meet with him, or else we'll destroy you.
Just remember,
that is powerful and scary as hell. Sorry,
Marxist
Dr.
ideology depends on intimidation. That's it. That's what they do.
I think I know this is specifically for the next election and the Trump thing, and specifically versus Biden. But just going forward, I think Republicans themselves have a bigger opportunity. Trump might not be the messenger for Republicans to be able to get to these black people that are now waking up and leaving the Democratic Party. They ain't necessarily going straight to the Republicans, but they, like Dr. Carson or somebody said that we got some. They'll use those couple of ideas to divide you, but really, even if you go down and ask, even down to the kids in my program and their parents, they all hold mostly center right. The majority of America, period, is right to center. Is to center right. So, I think Republicans got a better chance at looking. I know this is going to be sore on this type panel, but they got a better chance.
While we're here,
they got a better chance of looking past Trump to the next thing, to the next person, and that person is the right preacher. Is that in the black community you need the right preacher? A black community will go listen to a preacher that's doing all kind of sin if he hooping and hollering with the right kind of message. You go get the right kind of preacher, the right kind of preacher.
You point at me?
For the next election, for higher office, we'll look.
The only thing I'm gonna say to that is, you can't get ahead of today.
True.
Right.
True. Yeah, I know you got to look to the next election.
And today, the old saying is,
binary
Rome
choice.
is burning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Rome
Burnt.
is burning today.
Burnt.
Right. And chill, man, it ain't burnt.
Yeah, it's pretty
Rock,
bad,
it's not
man.
looking good though.
We in World War III. We in World War III when they said Trump was going to take us, and we there now. Already.
I go back to the fundamental question. I've been asking this question for 2 years. Wesley's heard me say it.
Yep.
This is the Pepsi Taste Challenge. America, you got two choices, 45 or 46. Who did a better job?
That's it.
What tastes better?
That's all you got. Binary choice.
What tastes better?
Binary
We
choice.
know what tastes better. And I think to the point you were making about the vitriol that came for him, that still comes for him.
Yeah. Right.
There's a funny thing happening in America right now. People are looking at all the vitriol, and you know what they're saying? Man, y'all been saying it for 8 years.
Right.
I know my food costs more.
Right, that's it.
My food costs
You've
more.
been saying
That's
it for
real.
10 years. I know this border's wide open.
Right.
You've been saying that for 9 years. How come Israel's now fighting for their survival? That wasn't happening 4 years
Taiwan.
ago.
Taiwan.
It's happening now.
Right.
So it takes leadership at the end of the day. Now, what I will say, as a Republican, man, our party hasn't done anything worth a damn about communicating. I'm so sorry, Rocky, about your shop. About communicating with
That's a
black
quarter
people.
in a jar.
I got that. About communicating with black people. We've not done that work.
Right.
But if we're gonna speak truth,
Yeah.
there was a guy who ran for president back in 16, and it might have been inarticulate. You know, what did he say? What was in the Meek Mill song? Other Side of America at the top. What else do you got to lose?
What else you gotta lose?
He asked that question.
And got destroyed for it.
Hold on, but here's the question. Did Jeb ask that question?
Nope.
Did W ask that
Nope.
question?
Nope.
Did HW ask that question?
Nope.
Right.
I don't remember them doing that.
Right.
No.
He did.
He did.
He did it his way.
He did it.
I think for our people, there's a fundamental question we got to ask. How's your life going to be with 4 more years of Joe Biden?
Worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these young kids, what I'm hearing, a lot of these young kids, they're saying, you know what? Where's Trump?
Right.
Yeah.
Can we get him back?
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's so real when you look at, you know, what is the interest in, brother Coach, you mentioned it. We generally are conservative people. I mean, we want to raise our families. We want to have, you know, we believe in God. And like right now, even a conversation with God is even, you know, for me, I'm open talking about it. You know, we pray. Okay, and when you look at these types of ideas, and I really appreciate what you alluded to. You alluded to some real concrete, beyond personalities, and personality is important, but beyond personality, what will sustain our community, and generally what's happening under the agenda that we see: safe homes, safe borders, economic stability, jobs, family life. You know, I don't even understand what a challenge.
Don't leave out education.
Yeah, education, deregulation. You know, no, I want to just guide my community. No, y'all go do what you want to do. Right. We make the rules around here. Right. You know, local rules important to me. Right. You know, and I think those things are the message, and we really got to hone in telling that story really, really well. The other piece.
What would you say, Latron? You're out there in the community. You do a lot. What would you need from Representative Donalds and Representative Hunt to take that message from here, take what we talked about here into the community? Same with you, Mark. You're in the community. Same with you, Rocky. You know, you guys represent, as friends of mine, you guys represent people that are not wearing Trump 2024 T-shirts. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you're speaking the language and everything, and people respect you. What do you need from these two gentlemen to go out there and preach this message for November?
You know, I think they've said a lot of it. Be transparent with you. You guys said a lot of it, but there is a piece that we gotta deconstruct, and that piece is that Trump represents this white supremacy narrative, where you got to deconstruct that. That's a major stereotype and barrier to a message that's got to be. It's got to be more clear for black folks. Like, we don't want to support an open enemy, right? Generally. Right. However, for the most part, I don't necessarily know if that's the message that they're putting out. I like the fact that if you believe in a way and you want to go into the mountains or you want to go in the hills or you want to go where you want to go and you want to live with your community in that space, I don't have a problem with what you do. Okay, if you're going to come in my community and we're living in a certain way, I don't want you coming over here dictating either. And I think that if you all are able to really work on the deconstruction of that narrative of supporting a white supremacist versus supporting an American agenda. That American
agenda. But you're saying the narrative is created by somebody else.
Yeah, the narrative, they got to take it away. That propaganda.
You have people here that will take what you say out of context. So I got to make sure that you're not saying that he is. You're saying the narrative created.
Team already clipping right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, look. I mean, let's be very clear in my language. So for anyone who wants clarification, there's a propaganda narrative far beyond Trump that came to this country when my ancestors landed on the shores of Savannah, Jamestown, and the shores of East Coast in America in the transatlantic experience. Yeah. And that process over years, beyond Trump, has been something that's been passed on generational and inherited by children who really didn't even understand what they're really saying. They just heard their parents say narratives that were divisive. So what I'm talking about is we got to deconstruct the American future. And we got to acknowledge the American past, that we are truly working as a community. So when I'm saying we got to be able to deconstruct the narrative of a white supremacist idea, which is really born out of the historic energy that was put into this country through the transatlantic experience, and people inheriting that through birth. That's what I'm talking about. That's where that came from. Now, we got to be able to deconstruct that and talk about an American agenda that is reflective of equity, true opportunity to relive and reinvigorate an American dream.
So let me say this real quick.
Yes, sir.
To the white supremacy deal. If that's what Donald Trump truly believed, then why would he undo the 94 crime bill? Because when you did that, what you predominantly did is you cut short sentencing of black men because in the mid-90s, Joe Biden and the Democrats felt that they wanted to treat crack cocaine as a higher threshold punishment than any other drug, any other illicit drug in America. He came in and he unwound that. If your whole goal is, I want to be supreme, whatever the case might be, why would you do that? Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So like this is where I think, and to your, it's not against you, Latroy. I know what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
It's really more for them than for you.
Okay.
But I think that people have to get past the narratives that come from media. Dr. Carson knows what happens when the media wants to have a narrative. Right. I know what it is when the media wants to have a narrative because they just push that as opposed to actually digging into the context. My mother always raised me to say, to think, do not listen to what people are saying. You look at what people are doing. Yeah. And I think that in our community, we have to get past the narratives that come primarily from media and from people who have agendas. Let's be clear, because a lot of people have agendas, and look at what's actually happening on the ground. Right. I'm going to give you another one.
Yeah.
What's that one? Charlottesville. That's a good one.
Yeah. Right.
So the Charlottesville one, there's good people on both sides. Well, what was never reported, never really talked about, is that he was actually doing a press conference on infrastructure that day. Mm. That was a 17-minute press conference. By the way, Joe Biden hasn't given a 17-minute press conference since he's been president. I'll give you that one. 17-minute press conference, right? He just kept saying, I condemn white supremacy. He said it like 6 or 8 times.
In that speech.
In that same presser. Right. The press just keeps asking the same question. I know they all here. I love you guys. They keep saying the same thing. He kept saying it until he said, look, what else do you want me to say? You had this person on that side, that person on that side, and then you have bad people on both sides, and we can't have any of this. Yeah. And they took good people on both sides and ran with that for 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. Ignored everything else. The clip's still on YouTube today.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a point that a lot of people, to the point of people coming around, particularly young people, that's what they're seeing. They've been told something, and now they're seeing it real for themselves, and they're saying, wow, he never said that. Wow, he never said it's happened several times. Right. And that's what people are going through now. I think people are seeing the things that they're being told was said, wasn't really said that way, or wasn't really said the same way they're reporting it.
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing it all the time in what I do. All the time, people will come back to me and say, "I heard you said this,"
Right.
and I have to go back and pull what I actually said to send it to the person and say, "No, I never said that."
Right.
So I think when you talk about creating a narrative, how do you, to answer the question that I asked you to ask them?
I want to hear from Mark. I want to
Right.
hear from Rocky.
Right,
I want
yeah.
to hear what they got to say.
Right,
too.
yeah. But I would say the answer to your question is making sure that when someone comes to you with that, you don't have to deconstruct anything.
Right.
You all you have to do is show them what was really said. Because Reagan was cast the same way, Trump was cast the same way, George W. Bush was cast the way H.W. was cast. They all were cast as dumb, racist, and not qualified. The same 3 hits for all 4 people. All 4, Reagan, Bush, H.W., and Trump. All Republicans were cast and attacked in the same verbiage used every single time they ran by the same media outlets.
Shelly, you hit a good point, because it is a good one now. Everybody remembers when Kanye did it right after Katrina. George Bush doesn't like black people.
Doesn't care about black people.
You don't care about black people, and that was the narrative until it came out that W and Michelle Obama have a good relationship.
Right.
And now in today's media, it's no, we like George W. Bush. She was great.
Well, because
That's
the devil came along, quote unquote, the devil came along worse than the last one.
Yeah, the agenda changed. The agenda shifted the program too.
No, the agenda never shifted. The person they hate shifted.
Okay.
You know, it's just like anything else. You hate Reagan when he was there. Now they're quoting Reagan. They're saying Biden gave a Reagan-esque speech in Normandy. These people hated Reagan 20 years ago, and it's the same people saying it. And so you've got to understand, when you want to deconstruct the narrative, you have to deconstruct it by pointing out to the people you're talking to, like, look, if you believe this man is a racist, then why did these other white people love him for 30 years?
Right.
That's it. That's a simple question. It's a real simple question.
I'll give you an example in a barbershop. And I was looking at everybody. I mean, they call me the political brother. They would call him the smart brother. They would call Dr. Carson the OG.
The OG.
Rocky would be the ball. Every barbershop, everybody knows who owns the barbershop, right? I'll get back to Byron later. Okay. You be the old school brother, the wisdom. Y'all in the back, y'all listen to old school, right?
Old school.
Then what do we say when we get to West? What would y'all call him in the barbershop?
Here we go.
Clean. What's he doing?
Everybody want to know what he do. Right?
What he do?
Right. Then you got the mouthpiece right here, right? The word, the voice. In terms of where we're going, I tell people in the barbershop, I say, Google when Biden said the N-word 13 times. It gets quiet. I say, pull your phone out.
It gets real quiet.
And I say, why doesn't the media ever talk about, whenever you bring up Trump, they want to bring up something from the 1970s. Okay, fine. But Biden said, I don't want you to go to school with my kids. And he said the N-word 13 times. Now, y'all can try to explain it, but if Trump said it once, you wouldn't hear the end of it.
Right.
Correct.
So we are here
I agree.
We are having that kind of conversation, but black people don't control the narrative. We don't control the media. We don't own it.
Right.
But what we can do, what Dr. Carson says, is we can influence it.
Right. That's it.
That's my little 2 cents on it.
Everybody need to take their Twitter. They need to take their X. They need to take their phone out. They got to get their social media and simply make it very clear. And I think as you're traveling and you all are going to different cities and talking to the black communities, you really got to get the people to start sending out the social media messages that you can account for, you know, and that are authentic and are very real. I know for certain that when Donald Trump was in office, our business grew. Okay, so I'm just telling. I'll tweet that. That's the truth. Our business, I don't want to be very egotistical, nothing like that, but our business grew when Donald Trump was in office. And is that a result of timing? Possibly. That's God's mercy, right? And I believe in God, and Trump does too. Is that a part of God's mercy, or is it a part of just the trajectory of policy and deregulation?
Right.
I'm going to leave that to the listeners.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wind down, all right? I want to end on this note. And you gotta keep it tight. We've just been flowing and talking.
Right.
But what do you think? What do you think in terms of black people? Either A, voted for President Trump, voting Republican. Unfortunately, not voting at all. And then How much do you think is actually going to stay with Joe Biden and Democrats? Rufus, I'm going to start with you. We're just going to go straight down.
But let's even before that, from a nonprofit perspective, to your question that you had, Shelley, for you two guys that are legislators, I would say, please consider. We don't need more police. We don't need that stop and frisk. That just like Democrats have their scare tactics to get people out, Republicans have their scare tactics to try to get people out to go vote too, like saying black people is scary in this way and that, and we need more police. But we don't need more police interaction. We need more freedom to be able to control our communities, to mitigate some of that crime. So we don't want to turn this place into a police state.
That's right.
I would say.
That's right.
You want to restate your question, sir?
Yeah, you got Thank you for that point, though. That's a big point.
What do you want? Which question?
You want me to restate it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Restate. No, you restate the question.
Where do you think black people are going in 2024 in terms of voting? How do you think that's going to look?
It's been said that, and our party hasn't done a great job. I've been a Republican my whole life. 32 years I've been in politics, and we just have not done a good job of communicating in many cases in what we've done. But I will say this for black people. If in one, and this isn't new, if black people for one election just voted Republican or didn't vote Democrat, now all of the Democrats would know that they lost because they didn't do right by black folks. Right. But then Republicans would turn and say, hey, we can win with y'all, but let's keep it real. Republicans have won without the black vote. Right. So just imagine with the black vote and putting ourselves as a people in a position to work with whoever's in the White House. It doesn't matter your gender, your race, your nationality, whoever you are. Black people have often been the only group of people who are shut out for 4 to 8 years because we didn't rock with whoever was going to win. I'm saying black people should work with whoever's in charge, regardless of whoever that is. But with regard to the election, I think that you'll see I didn't believe it in when they said it in August of last year. They said the numbers are going to be historic. I was like, yeah. In December, I said, nah. And then we went to we're at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm starting to see that blacks can be somewhere between that 13 to 15+% of the black vote in the fall. I'll go with that.
This is what I say. I think that the polls are early, but I am seeing it on the ground. In my day-to-day travels, on my show, when I interact with African Americans in just bars, clubs, hookah bars, wherever I'm at, what I'm hearing is, the biggest thing that I'm hearing is not necessarily that there is a hardcore vote for Donald Trump, but they're open and willing to say they miss him, like you said earlier. That's what I'm hearing. There used to be a whisper campaign. Hey, Brother Shelley, in Barbershop, I was called Unc because I had gray hair. But hey, Unc, I hear what you're saying. I kind of agree with you. But they whispered it. They whispered it. Now people are openly saying, I like him. Now, will that translate into votes? Because a lot of these are every election year voters. These are inconsistent voters that we're talking about, particularly when we're talking about African American men. We're inconsistent. Not inconsistent because we're not responsible, inconsistent because there's nothing really out there for us. So I think, like Rufus, I think we're going to fall. I think black men particularly are going to fall between 17 and 20% when all is said and done for Donald Trump. I think there's going to be a higher percentage of African Americans who actually stay home than come out for the Republicans. And that's my gut feeling. What I think we should be working on is actually moving those inconsistent voters and moving them into a consistent voter box and making it comfortable for them to say and go on social media, like Tron said, to talk about Donald Trump. I think more and more are getting comfortable, but I think we need to do the things like this, or what you guys are doing, to make it more comfortable for people who are not really political. Because we're hearing it, the people you're hearing from are not the political people. These are your FedEx drivers, your Amazon drivers, your fathers, your deacons in a church, your teachers. They're not political. Their lives are not spent around Fox and CNN and MSNBC and what's being done. Their lives are spent around, how do I get my kid from gymnastics home and what are we going to eat for dinner?
those people we have to those people we have to convince to make a decision to vote, because they will vote for Trump, but we have to get them and drive them to the polls. To the point you made about, both of you made about Republicans, I've been in this game. I met Rufus in this game. I'm in media. He was in on the political side. And I've been screaming for Republicans to do more towards the black community for decades. Trump is the only one that has. What there still is, he's doing it on a shoestring. What I would say is, you need this vote. The Trump campaign needs this vote. Republicans need this vote nationally. Start putting the people in play that can move this vote, move the needle. Start listening to the people, the Gina Bars, the Janiyas. Start listening to the African Americans that you have on your team that can move this needle for African American vote. I know there's a lot of people, doing a lot of different things. Listen to the people you've hired to move the African American vote. Listen to the Hispanics you hired to move the Hispanic vote. Listen to the LGBT community members you've hired to move that needle. Stop micromanaging, do it right. Listen to the black people you hired to do black events and put black things together, put these type of events together. Listen to them, get out of the way, and we can move this needle. I think it'll be 17 to 20. You can move it 20 to 25 if you just let people run.
President Trump got 18.7% of the male black vote in 2020, the highest of any Republican president in modern history. If he gets between 25 and 30% of the male black vote, which is absolutely possible, you're pushing all in between 17 and 21% of the black male vote, the black vote period. If that happens, mathematically, Democrats cannot win. That's why Biden and I are here. That's my projection.
So you say 25 to 30 black male?
Yes, all in 17 to 21.
Right, but that's just black male.
Yes.
My man. I can go with that.
You can pass on it too. It's up to you, man.
No.
All right, go ahead.
Could we restate the question again?
What do you think a black male vote will be for Trump?
Yeah.
I think
The Magic Johnson?
I think the black male vote is going to be somewhere around 14%. It's going to be somewhere around there, and if this is
So you think it'll be lower than it was in 2020?
It was for the black male vote. The black male vote was 18.7%.
I think it'll be higher than if it was
for black
18,
males. Yes,
20.
all in. We're at 13.2.
Yeah, I'd say yes. Then I think it's going to bump up.
Yeah.
And for anybody that is even watching now or just listening to the sound of my voice and you are black, still go vote. Go vote still. Do not stay at home. You will be counted as being a lazy black person. Still go vote. If you must, do what I do. When there is no person for you to vote for, during this last Georgia Senate race, there was Herschel Walker and there was Warnock. When there was a qualified Republican there to run by the name of Kelvin King, who would be our senator right now if the Republicans had ran him. Nonetheless, I digress. Still go vote, black people, because you will be counted as just lazy. They will not go into the nuances of why you did not vote. You will just be in the lazy column. Just leave it blank, and then make sure you vote for the down ballot things. Right. Study the down. Those are the important things that matter where you live. Vote for them city council people, them school board people, them dog catchers. Because tomorrow, Sarah Palin is gonna go from that little dog catcher to vice presidential candidate. Okay, so do that for me, please. Thank you.
You have a black Republican male local elected official right here.
Hey, greetings.
Look at this. See the guy sitting on the floor? He just may be the very next vice presidential candidate.
He might. Rocky, you answer, and you gonna no look.
Free haircuts.
Ain't no wrong answers.
No wrong answer?
No wrong answers.
I'm just black in America. I just want the right person to win. Support black businesses, small businesses. I like the word unity. I like to be diverse. I like who support me. I support them. I like teamwork.
That's simple. Yeah.
I like to keep it simple. Basically, do what's right.
Right.
Do what you say you're gonna do. Don't make promises. And I think everybody will be happy at the end. Everybody will be happy at the end if we just stick together and don't make it such a complicated decision based on Republican
Democrat. Just do what's right. Like he said, go out and vote. Don't just leave it blank, because then you won't be heard. Then your decision is not valid unless you pick the right person. If you want change, you gotta get up, you gotta say something. So I'm glad I'm on this platform. It definitely opened my eye. I seen different views. I seen different perspective from the way it was said, and just listening to people makes more sense. Listening to the right people at that. You know, it's really like, how you say this? I mean, you can have a conversation with basically a client, but if the client don't know what he's talking about, then it kind of like throw the conversation off. Right. So now listening to the right people that have the right answers, you be like, wow, this makes a whole lot more sense. They got proof. They say Google it. They, you know, you could back up your statement, and it makes sense. So now I'm like, okay, this is an eye opener for me, because I'm like, okay, I never seen it that way. But now I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, I want to do what's right. So if you black and you in America, you're going to vote for the right person. If he's saying no tax on tip, he's saying the right thing. Right. You know? So, so you're going to go with the stats. And at the end of the platform, I just want to like thank everybody for just giving the opportunity to be heard. And, you know, I like the fact that, you know, I was surrounded with some black powerful men, gave me like a little energy, okay, I feel like I've been doing something right. You know, I want to get with this brother right here. He helping the youth. He said he has a youth that want to be a barber. I'm like, okay, I'm interested in that. You know, I want to help who helped me.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
And Rocky, we are sitting with you, not the other way around.
Yes, sir.
We are great. Let's be clear about that. We are sitting with you.
Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so real quick. Now we got to go quick.
Yeah, we got to go quick.
Dr. Carson.
Well, first of all, I appreciated everybody's opinions here. This is great hearing this. I hope we can do this more often. You know, the founders of this country understood that we would come to a point where our democracy would be challenged. And they left the final solution in the hands of we the people. That's what the vote is all about. And it's so important for people to understand that you have to vote responsibly. You have to know who those people are. And most people just look for the name that looks familiar. You can't do it that way. It's got to be somebody who aligns with what you're doing.
Right.
That's absolutely critical. And I think a lot of people, it's not about black and white, it's about people in general, realize that our country is at the apex of going one way or the other.
Correct.
Right. This election is very important. So if you care about your children and your grandchildren, make sure you avail yourself of the information that's necessary. I think the black community will do that, and I think you're going to be surprised at the result.
Agreed.
I think it's going to be very good.
Agreed.
You think it's going to be higher than 25-30% as represented?
I think it could easily be.
Really?
Excellent.
You
know, I'll be real brief. There's two things that come to my mind. The first thing is...
Wait, generally brief or Latron brief?
Generally. very generally brief. But I want to really just touch this. One of the most influential positions, elected officials in the state of Georgia is the Commissioner of Agriculture. And his name is Tyler Harper. Okay. Those positions, as you talk about running down the ballot, in fact, Tyler has probably one of the most influential when it comes to wealth, because he's a steward of what God gave us for free in every state. So anybody watching this in every state, do know your Commissioner of Agriculture is the steward over what God gave everybody for free. Okay, that includes your gasoline. And we talked about that logistics piece, really, really important. I didn't mention the fuel. I heard the president mention, I heard Shelley ask about that question. But when it comes to logistics, that fuel cost makes a significant difference when it comes to price of goods and services. And if you're a person in America, and I'm talking to black folks right now, look at who's stewarding and who's the regulatory influence over what the land that your feet are on. It's critical to understand that. To answer the question as it relates to Donald Trump, I think that this whole election not only with the presidential election, but it's got black folks more engaged in general. I think black people, and I'm not speaking for all black people, I'm just talking about the inspirations and the people that I come in contact with. I think black folks are engaged. And him going to jail and going through the process, and we seeing the criminal justice system unveil its ugly head as it relates to biases, be it right or wrong, just the nature of a bias. And they have this term, and lawyers know it, the appearance of justice. When you see that, people naturally, not just black people, but everybody, they naturally have this, I don't like seeing unjust issues. So I think that black folks is going to respond to these issues, particularly in this election, and as it relates to that vote for Trump. Now, for the record, I have been based on issues.
So it's a Latron.
For Latron, I've always voted on issues, and I think that's what most black folks are going to be. They vote on issues, and so the issues that were raised, they make sense. If Trump is saying that, and the other guy's saying something different, people won't vote for the issue that fare well with them. So, thank you.
All right. So, in closing, I want to thank everybody for being here. Everybody here on the panel, thanks. Honestly, and it's important to say, when we walked in talking with these guys and said, we're unscripted, we're just going to flow.
Yeah.
We're just going to flow and we're going to talk. I didn't talk to them before today about what they were going to say. I have no idea. We just talked, opened it up, and we flowed. Rocky?
I'm witness to that.
He knows, because he was like, I'm not supposed to be on here. What's going on? I said, Rocky, just talk. If you want to talk, talk. It's cool. We're just flowing.
It's your place, man.
It's your place.
It's your place.
Let's come in here. Appreciate it.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for the setup. Guys, I'm going to say it for myself. I know for a lot of people on the panel, Dr. Carson Wesley in particular, we're for President Trump. We think that him being the 47th president is going to make this country great once again. We got a lot of issues to fix. Let's go fix them.
And I got one more thing. One more thing to add. You talk about white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Carson has been black his whole life.
That's right.
He's been black, and I'm black.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we are supporting President Trump.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't understand how a white supremacist would call us right now, break bread with us, and spend his time with us right now if he were truly a white supremacist. Right. That would never happen.
And for the record, I don't believe Donald Trump is a white supremacist.
No.
So I want to clarify that, just in case that narrative got mixed up.
All right,
thank you all very much.
This is where we lead a barbershop because they're going to keep talking.
Do you think President Trump should come to barbershops and engage in communities like this?
Yeah, I think he should.
That would be a great
Do you want to
idea.
open up the questions? You want to let them have access?
Well, he just did today, didn't he?
Oh, you want to do questions? Didn't he? Congressman.
We're going to get today.
Well, a ton of great statements and great moments there in Atlanta, hot Atlanta today. Wow, President Trump calling into that meeting there, as you saw, Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt, Dr. Ben Carson, owners. And as Byron Donalds was saying, they were just going to flow and it was going to be unscripted. Well, that's exactly what you got there. And I think that's what the American people like anymore anyway, right? Instead of some false narrative script, why not speak from the mind and the heart? And that's what you get when it comes to President Trump and anybody else that is all about this country and all about the true agenda, which is simple. Keep the Constitution, the law of the land, and keep this country free. So once again, that was out of Atlanta. That was the Black American Business Roundtable. Now, Dr. Ben Carson said, quote, there's a change in the air, that referring to the support for President Trump. I mean, you've seen not only in Harlem, but in the Bronx, in Philadelphia the other day, in Detroit, all across this country, we're seeing people that are out there because they love this country. They love freedom, and they love President Trump as well. So a great event there in Atlanta. So some of the topics that were discussed, as you heard, the HBCUs, the opportunity zones, the unemployment rate under President Trump. Think about it. I mean, all of the things that President Trump did between 2016 to 2020 were different level. They were out of this world, and they were great, right? Obviously, a lot of things have changed since then, this time around with this administration, but that's why there are elections. Looking at 132 days until the election, there's a lot of work to be done, of course, until then with election integrity, and there's a lot of hard work going on as well, as we believe for great things for our country. Before we go, I'm going to share with you a couple of our great sponsors, but there's something that I'd like to say at the end of the broadcast that I want to share with you as well. But the Birch Gold Group I was showing you earlier, This is the 2024 Birch Gold Group info kit. So all you have to do is text Trump to 989898. Get a lot of information on gold, silver, precious metals, everything you need to know about backing the US dollars. A lot of BRICS nations out there doing things against the US dollar. You can have some peace of mind with Birch Gold Group. So text Trump to 989898. The Wellness Company, ivermectin, Z-Pak, a number of other great prescriptions you can get in that emergency kit there. You're gonna have to fill out a medical form before you do so. But go to makecaregreatagain.com. Awesome to have at your house, at your workplace, in your car. Makecaregreatagain.com. Finally, the Tax Network USA. If you have any back taxes or had any issues filing, whether it was this past tax year or years in the past, these guys will help you out. 800-357-1415. Tax Network USA. Go ahead and work with them. They'll work with you. They'll give you some financial peace of mind. Always a good thing, especially when it comes to the IRS there. You want to make sure, of course, take care of the taxes. So you can do that with Tax Network USA. It's said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Instead of me rambling on here, I want to show you a photo that I showed a couple times in this broadcast. That photo right there. You've got a white person and a black person. You got Hispanic people, you got Middle Eastern people, you got all kinds of people that are in support of the Constitution of this country and for President Trump. It's a wonderful photo there. There's not much to say. That was taken on April 4th, 2023. I took that photo there in Manhattan, and it was awesome to see two people from different so-called walks of life. The left wing, they're always trying to pin us against each other, but that's not what's happening right there. They're not pinned against each other. They are for Donald Trump. It's pretty cool stuff to see. So, coming up, the debate is tomorrow, of course. Then on Friday, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, bright and early, 9 a.m., we'll have Nikki Stanzione and Vanessa Broussard live from Virginia. We're going to have a huge Trump rally that day. We look forward to seeing you all there. If you'd like to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network on Truth Social, go to @RSBN. If you'd like to follow me, it's @Matthew Alvarez. For all of us here at Right Side, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I'm the host of the Let It Be Heard show here on RSBN channel. I would love for you guys to check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, YouTube. We release episodes every single week regarding culture, Bible, social issues, politics, current events, anything. So if you're into any of that stuff, I highly recommend you check me out. God bless you guys, and stay safe out there.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.